Chapter 260. However, since Xiao Qin had already done it, he should not regret it. When one was young, one had to have some sharpness. Otherwise, as one grew older, that sharpness would completely disappear. To a cultivator, if one was afraid of wolves in front and tigers behind, being cautious and careful, thinking too much, one day, one would completely lose the sharpness of a cultivator. Hu Qi. Just as Xiao Chen was drinking by himself, a white figure appeared in his vision. It was Bai, who had gone out, returning. When Bai smelled the fragrance of the wine, she immediately jumped onto the stone table. Her watery eyes looked pitifully at Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen smiled faintly and took out another wine cup. After he filled it up, he placed it beside Bai. Bai immediately drank it happily. After drinking a mouthful of wine, Xiao Chen rubbed Bai's head. He said somewhat ruefully, "From the beginning to the end, aside from the saber in my hand, only you can accompany me." Footsteps came from outside again. The rhythm of these footsteps was very familiar to Xiao Chen. He did not even need to release his spiritual sense to know that it was Lu Suifeng. Indeed, after a while, Lu Suifeng's figure appeared in front of Xiao Chen. When Xiao Chen felt Lu Suifeng's aura, his eyes lit up. He smiled and said, "Congratulations, when did you break through to Martial Saint?" Lu Suifeng had just broken through the day before yesterday. When he heard Xiao Chen's congratulations, his face was filled with a smile. He said, "I just broke through not long ago. This is all thanks to your flowing light flower. My comprehension ability has increased significantly. The bottleneck that has troubled me for almost a year is finally over." Bottlenecks were like this. Sometimes, even if one thought about it hard, worrying about it day and night, thinking of all sorts of methods, they would still not be able to break through. It could be 1 year, 2 years, or even 10 years. Some people might not even be able to break through in their entire lives. However, with just a small breakthrough, the bottleneck would be broken immediately. Xiao Chen's flowing light flower helped Lu Suifeng break through this breakthrough. Lu Suifeng took out a pile of glowing medial-grade spirit stones. He said enviously, "This is what my sister told me to bring to you. There are 200 medial-grade spirit stones here. Take a look." Xiao Chen pocketed all the spirit stones in a flash and said, "By the way, where's your sister? Why isn't she here?" Lu Suifeng thought of something and said, "I nearly forgot. My sister is in closed-door cultivation. She told me to tell you that she will not be able to help you operate the ancient absolute formation for this period of time. She told you to cultivate bitterly first and stabilize your cultivation." Xiao Chen's brows furrowed slightly. He found it strange that she had gone into seclusion all of a sudden. "That's no problem. Do you know why she went into seclusion?" Xiao Chen, who had been comprehending the ancient absolute saber formation for a period of time, already had some idea of listening to the sword and communicating with it. Now, he was just short of an opportunity to barely cross the threshold. In the short term, it would not be a big deal if he did not go to the ancient absolute saber formation. However, Xiao Chen was more concerned about Lu Ruyue. Why was she in such a rush to enter seclusion? Lu Suifeng shook his head and said, "I'm not sure. She looked like she had a lot on her mind, so it would not be good for me to ask. If there is nothing else, I'll take my leave first." Xiao Chen urged him to stay. "Let's sit down and have a drink before you leave." Lu Suifeng was about to agree when he saw Bai raise his head and glance at him. He immediately changed his words, "It's fine, it's fine. I have something urgent to do and need to leave immediately." Lingyun Mountain Range, at a desolate waterfall in the back of the mountain, there was an unceasing waterfall falling from a high place. Dark clouds churned in the sky, and the faint sound of muffled thunder rang out continuously. Xiao Chen stood at the side of the small river formed by the waterfall. He drew the lunar shadow saber in his hand, and there was a flash of saber light. Thunder roared in the sky. Suddenly, boundless clouds appeared around Xiao Chen. A resplendent electric light suddenly lit up in the clouds, splitting the layers of clouds apart. At the same time, the thunder in the sky seemed to be attracted by something, and it gave off a deafening roar. Countless splashes appeared on the raging river at the sound of this voice. Everlasting startling cloud. The instant all the clouds scattered, the snow-white blade of the lunar shadow saber gave off a thin saber chi. The saber chi disappeared in a flash. It was so fast that it created an illusion. Xiaochen swung his saber upwards and shouted, "Explode!" With a shwa sound, the thin saber chi that had already dissipated in the air exploded in the air. The purple saber chi was surrounded by countless electric lights. It was like a screen of water spreading out in the air. Pai li pa la. The electric light flickered continuously on the screen of saber chi. At the end of the screen, the gushing waterfall was chopped in half by the saber. The electric light surrounding the screen of saber chi lingered for a long time. The gushing waterfall, which carried 5,000 kilograms of force, was stopped by the horrifying electric energy. It just hung there in the air like it had stopped moving. Xiaochen sheathed his saber and looked at the purple electric light that had yet to scatter. He said, "After the state of thunder is added to the everlasting startling cloud, its might has increased by 20%. Although the might of the everlasting startling cloud had increased significantly, Xiaochen did not reveal any joy on his face. It had already been half a month since Xiaochen came out of the subspace. During this half a month, Xiaochen had been digesting his gains in the subspace. Those 2 days of high-intensity battles could be said to be the most intense battle Xiaochen had ever experienced, be it physically or mentally. There was an unending stream of demonic beasts, as well as the elusive demons who hid in the back and launched sneak attacks. It forced him to maintain a high level of concentration. 2 days of experiential training was much better than a month of experiential training. After half a month, Xiaochen had completely absorbed all the accumulations from this experiential training. His cultivation had stabilized at inferior grade martial saint. He could break through to peak inferior grade martial saint at any time. Xiaochen's comprehension of the state of thunder had also reached an even higher level. When he made a move, he could already condense the power of thunder. With the aid of the state of thunder, the might of the state of clouds in the everlasting startling cloud saber technique had increased. However, the state of mountains had stagnated. This resulted in Xiaochen being unable to comprehend the final move of the Lingyun saber technique. Now, even the state of the 17th move, twisting road around peak, was starting to show signs of instability. Thus, although the might of the everlasting startling cloud had increased significantly, Xiaochen was unable to feel happy. The electric light in the air started to slowly scatter. The surging waterfall started to flow again. The sound of splashing water resounded in Xiaochen's ears once again. Xiaochen said indifferently, "It looks like I really have to find a lightning-attributed saber technique. In the end, the rank of the rushing thunder saber technique is too low. It is no longer suitable for my current combat style. Furthermore, it is too straightforward. I am unable to adapt to changes in combat." After completing the mission in the subspace, Xiaochen could freely choose a spirit weapon, martial technique, or battle armor. What Xiaochen chose was a martial technique. In the past few days, Xiaochen had taken some time to visit the libraries of the various peaks of the Heavenly Saber Pavilion. However, the results disappointed him. There were very few pure lightning-attributed martial techniques. Even if there were, their ranks would be very low. Xiaochen did not care for them. Since there were none in the Heavenly Saber Pavilion, he could only search for them at the foot of the mountain. However, before that, he had to do something first. He had to lend the heaven-ranked roaming dragon saber to Yun Kursin. He did not know why, but Yun Kursin had not returned it yet. Originally, Xiaochen was prepared to ask her about it a week ago. After all, Xiaochen had not reached the stage where he could casually give away a heaven-ranked spirit weapon. However, that was the crucial period for Xiaochen's cultivation. Furthermore, given Yun Kursin's character, she would not go back on her word. Hence, he dragged it out until today. Xiaochen left Qingyun Peak and asked around for Yun Kursin's whereabouts in the Heavenly Saber Pavilion. He did not delay and went to look for her with a calm expression. Even though half a month had passed, Xiao Chen was not worried that Yun Kursen would keep the roaming dragon saber for herself. His only guess was that she urgently needed the roaming dragon saber, so she took it and used it temporarily. Sometimes, a person's character could be seen from their temperament. Yun Kursen always gave off a calm and indifferent temperament. It was impossible for her to do such a despicable thing. Furthermore, after interacting with her for a period of time, Xiao Chen was sure that this temperament was not fake. Are you saying that Yun Kursen left half a month ago? When Xiao Chen rushed to Yun Kursen's residence, he did not see her in person. There was only a maid cleaning the room. After asking around, he obtained this information. Half a month ago. That is when we just came out of the subspace, Xiao Chen thought to himself. What exactly happened for her to leave in such a rush? When the maid saw the identity token hanging at Xiao Chen's waist, her eyes lit up and she asked, "That's right, are you Qing Yun Peak's young master Yi?" Xiao Chen nodded and said, "That's right, I am Qing Yun Peak's young master Yi. Here is my identity token." The maid took out a note and smiled, "That's right." Before Miss Yun left, she left a note. She said that if someone from Qing Yun Peak was looking for her, I should hand it to it. It has been more than half a month. You have not come. I nearly forgot. Xiao Chen received the note and slowly opened it. He read it in his heart, "Brother Yi, there is an urgent matter at home. I need to borrow your roaming dragon saber. This matter happened very suddenly. I am unable to tell you personally. I hope you can forgive me. There are some spirit stones under the bed. Consider them as compensation for borrowing your heavenly weapon. I will thank you in person another day. I am very sorry." Xiao Chen smiled gently and burned the note. Indeed, it was as he had guessed. Yun Kursen did indeed have an urgent matter and needed to borrow the roaming dragon saber. Xiao Chen looked at the maid before him and smiled, "Did you forget? Miss Yun still has something she wants you to pass to me." The maid was somewhat confused. She thought for a while and said, "Yes, yes. I remember now. There is a box under the bed. It is very heavy. I do not know what it is. Miss instructed me not to open it. After a long time, I forgot about it." The maid led Xiao Chen to Yun Kursen's bedroom. She found the box under the bed. However, even after using all her strength, she could not move it at all. Xiao Chen quickly stopped her and moved the box himself. However, he did not open the box. He extended his spiritual sense into it and discovered it was filled with piles of inferior-grade spirit stones. After a rough count, there were at least 5,000 of them. Yun Kursen was really generous. She casually placed 5,000 inferior-grade spirit stones under the bed. Was she not afraid that someone would steal them? With so many inferior-grade spirit stones, it was a windfall. After Xiao Chen placed them in his universe ring, he left the place. Chapter 261. That night, as Xiao Chen was cultivating in his courtyard, Lu Suifeng rushed over. Xiao Chen had no choice but to stop cultivating and come out to welcome him. In the past half a month, Lu Suifeng had improved every day. Now, he was filled with energy. Xiao Chen smiled, "It is already so late, why are you looking for me?" Lu Suifeng was not in a rush to reply. He looked around and did not discover Bai. Only then did he heave a sigh of relief. He smiled and said, "There is a huge auction going on in Shihe City, the capital city of the Shihe province. It is specially organized by Lin Lang Pavilion for cultivators. There are many good things there. Coincidentally, I am lacking a good spirit weapon and would like to try my luck. I was wondering if you would like to accompany me." Lin Lang Pavilion's auction. Xiao Chen was excited. He had originally planned to go down the mountain during this period of time to search for a high-rank lightning-attributed martial technique. Coincidentally, Lin Lang Pavilion was going to hold a large-scale auction. This saved him a lot of effort. Xiaochen asked with interest, how big is the scale of the auction? What rank is it? Seeing that Xiaochen was very interested, Lu Suifeng quickly introduced, the scale is very big. It is a large-scale auction that Linlang Pavilion holds once every 10 years. Only spirit stones are allowed to be used for transactions. The standards are no weaker than the large-scale auctions in the imperial capital. With Linlang Pavilion's strength, it should not be difficult for them to collect some high-ranked martial techniques. I can go and take a look. Thinking of this, Xiaochen did not hesitate and agreed. Lu Suifeng smiled, then it is settled. Oh right, if you are lacking spirit stones, you can tell me. I will go and get my second uncle to help you get some in advance. Lacking spirit stones? Xiaochen shook his head calmly and smiled, there is no need, I have enough spirit stones. Xiaochen had not used the 5,000 medial-grade spirit stones he obtained in the underground world. These medial-grade spirit stones could be exchanged for 500,000 inferior-grade spirit stones. There were also the 200 medial-grade spirit stones from half a month ago and the 5,000 inferior-grade spirit stones that he had just obtained today. If he added the demonic cores in his universe ring that could be exchanged for inferior-grade spirit stones, Xiaochen's spirit stones might even be more than what the already declined Qingyun Peak had. With so many spirit stones, it would be more than enough to buy a superior-grade Earth-ranked lightning-attributed martial technique. There was no need to worry. Lu Suifeng said, that's good. I will come and find you tomorrow morning. Early the next morning, Lu Suifeng arrived as scheduled. Shihe City was 25,000 kilometers away from the Heavenly Saber Pavilion. It was a long journey. Naturally, the two of them could not walk there. When they arrived at the place where the Heavenly Saber Pavilion reared spirit beasts, the two of them each took out their spirit stones and rented 2 dragon blood horses that could travel 1,500 kilometers in a day. They did not say anything and went down the mountain. Not long after the two of them left, Song Qianhe, who was on Biyun Peak, went to Song Kei's room in pleasant surprise. The moment he opened the door, he smiled and said, Father, you told me to send people to keep an eye on Xiaochen. He has gone down the mountain. On the bed, Song Kei, who was cultivating with his eyes closed, suddenly opened his eyes. A vicious look flashed in his eyes as he said coldly, is this true? Where are they going? What are they planning to do? How long will they be gone for? Tell me everything in detail. Song Qianhe quickly said, I heard from the Spirit Beast Hall that they are going to Shihe City to participate in the decennial auction. With the speed of the dragon blood horses, the round trip would take about a month. I finally found an opportunity. There are people in the Heavenly Saber Pavilion protecting you, so I have no way of killing you. However, once you leave the Heavenly Saber Pavilion, let's see who can protect you. How reckless. Song Kei got up and smiled sinisterly, I have some old friends who are going to the decennial auction. I can ask them for help. The dragon blood horse could travel 1,500 kilometers in a day. If they traveled day and night, it would not be a problem for them to travel 2,500 kilometers. However, be it man or horse, they could not travel day and night. They might meet with some dangers along the way. The two of them had to maintain their peak condition. On average, the two of them could only travel 2,000 kilometers a day at most. 3 days later, Xiaochen and Lu Suifeng stopped in front of a savanna. Lu Suifeng introduced, this savanna is called the Devil Savanna. The entire savanna is about the size of 3 Lingyun mountain ranges. There are countless spirit beasts in the savanna. There are also hundreds of bandits. This is the most dangerous part of our journey. Xiaochen dismounted and said, then let's rest for a while. After that, we will continue on our way at full speed. Let's try to get out of this place as soon as possible. The two of them found a clean patch of grass and started to set up camp. They had been eating and sleeping in the open along the way, so they were very familiar with setting up camp. Soon, 2 small tents were set up. After they took out their rations and water to replenish themselves, the two of them started to rest. Night slowly fell. The two of them discussed for a while and decided that Xiao Chen would stand guard tonight while Lu Suifeng would rest. Roar! Xiao Chen started a bonfire in front of his tent and sat there quietly. The roars of spirit beasts came from the distance. The light of the bonfire shone on Xiao Chen's face, flickering non-stop. Xiao Chen's expression was incomparably calm. Xiao Chen's spiritual sense spread out like a halo. He could see everything within a kilometer in his mind. There is a group of superior grade rank 4 demonic beasts to the northwest. There are about 200 of them. The Wolf King is already close to a rank 5 demonic beast. There is a rank 5 demonic beast lightning ox to the northeast. It is the strongest demonic beast in the surroundings. There are also 3 demonic blood lions to the south. Xiao Chen slowly got up and looked to the northeast. He smiled faintly and said, "It looks like the two of us are really popular. Unexpectedly, so many spirit beasts are targeting us. I will start with you." Lightning evasion. A bolt of lightning suddenly streaked across the pitch-black night sky. As the lightning descended, Xiao Chen appeared beside the lightning ox. As a lightning-attributed spirit beast, the lightning ox was very sensitive to lightning. The moment Xiao Chen appeared, a bolt of lightning as thick as an arm came from the lightning ox's horn and struck at Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen said coldly, "Just a grain of light and you dare to compete with the sun and the moon? You are seeking death." The clouds in the sky started to collide. Before Xiao Chen made his move, the momentum of the state of thunder had already formed. Ka Xie. The lunar shadow saber was drawn at lightning speed. An explosion of thunder resounded in the silent savannah as Xiao Chen drew his saber. A bolt of lightning as thick as a bucket descended from the sky. The bolt of lightning was attached to the saber. In comparison, the bolt of lightning that the lightning ox shot out was like a baby meeting an adult. It was instantly swallowed up. The momentum of the saber did not change and its might did not decrease. The lunar shadow saber hacked down on the huge body. Pu Ci. The horrifying electric saber light chopped the lightning ox in half. The electricity lingered on the wound and the fragrance of roasted beef wafted through the savannah. When the remaining spirit beasts saw Xiao Chen deal with the strongest lightning ox in one move, they immediately scattered, fleeing in all directions. Xiao Chen did not bother with them. After he took out the lightning ox's spirit core, he returned to his tent. Seeing that the bonfire was about to extinguish, he added some more firewood. What happened? Lu Suifeng, who was startled awake by the thunder, asked as he walked out of his tent. Xiao Chen smiled faintly, "Nothing much, I just chased away some spirit beasts. You can continue sleeping." Lu Suifeng nodded and returned to his tent. He was rather confident in Xiao Chen's strength. As long as he did not meet with the peak spirit beasts of the Devil Savannah, he would be able to move about freely. 1,000 meters away, in a place where Xiao Chen's spiritual sense could not reach, there were 2 bandits on a small hill, each carrying a large saber on their back. They were riding tall horses and had seen the earlier scene. One of the bandits was somewhat astonished as he said, "What strength? He killed the rank 5 lightning ox in one strike. First leader, are we still going to make a move?" The bandit who was addressed as the first leader had a long scar on his face. He was tall and sturdy, looking very ferocious. He smiled cruelly and said, "The stronger they are, the more good things they have on them. It is just 2 people. Our bandit group has a total of 200 people. When have we been afraid of anyone in this savannah?" The other bandit continued, "They should be going to participate in Shiha City's auction. Recently, I heard from the brothers of the other bandit groups that they have already done a few such transactions. They have gained a lot. In fact, just one transaction would be worth tens of thousands of inferior grade spirit stones. However, these 2 people seem to be core disciples of the Heavenly Saber Pavilion. Are we afraid of the Heavenly Saber Pavilion's revenge by targeting them?" The first leader laughed loudly. What's there to be afraid of? We will silence them and destroy the corpses. Who would know that we did it? At worst, we will just go out and lie low for a while. At that time, when the Heavenly Saber Pavilion comes to take revenge, the other bandit groups will suffer. They will help us kill off some of our competitors for free. When the other bandit heard this, he smiled and said, First leader is wise. That way, we will not lose out no matter what. The first leader said coldly, Gather the brothers. We will make our move tomorrow at noon. When the sky brightened, Xiao Chen and Lu Suifeng mounted their dragon blood horses and continued on their way. Not long after, Xiao Chen suddenly pulled on the reins and stopped. Lu Suifeng quickly stopped as well and asked cautiously, Is there a situation? Xiao Chen nodded, We are being targeted by a bandit group. There are 200 of them, and the weakest of them is a martial grand master. There are about 10 of them who are martial saints and above. The leader with the highest cultivation is a superior grade martial saint. What should we do? When Lu Suifeng heard that there were so many people, he could not help but worry. Xiao Chen said indifferently, To capture the bandits, first capture the leader. Kill the one with the highest cultivation. The rest are nothing to be afraid of. Rumble. Indeed, it was as Xiao Chen said. Not long later, a group of 200 bandits arrived before the two of them in a grandiose manner. The leader of the other party was the first leader from yesterday. When he saw the two of them, he revealed a sinister smile on his horrifying face. He did not bother saying anything and charged over while roaring. Xiao Chen slapped the back of the horse and immediately soared into the air. In an instant, countless hidden weapons and arrows flew towards him at high speed. Azure Dragon Tail Whip. Xiao Chen shouted and turned into a purple arc. It was like a flood dragon swaying in the air. All the arrows flying at him fell to the ground with a hua la 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 sound. At the end of the arc, Xiao Chen instantly appeared in front of the first leader. He drew his lunar shadow saber with a huang dang sound. A horrifying lightning glow with the aura of a thunderbolt struck towards the head of the leader. Chapter 262. Everything happened in a few blinks of an eye. Before the first leader could react, the lightning-like lunar shadow saber was already nearing his head. The first leader was startled. He quickly took out the saber on his back and used it to block above his head. Bang! The first leader's hasty move was unable to block Xiao Chen's lightning-fast strike. There was a loud bang, and he was knocked off his horse. His body knocked into a few bandits before landing heavily on the ground. The first leader's right hand, which was holding the saber, felt numb. He was horrified. He got up from the ground and shouted, This is troublesome. Let's get rid of this brat first. The other martial saint bandits quickly gave up on Lu Suifeng and chased after Xiao Chen. On the other side, Lu Suifeng's saber chi was moving about. Relying on the advantage of his cultivation realm, the group of bandits could not get close to him. There should not be any danger in a short period of time. When Xiao Chen landed on the ground, a martial saint bandit immediately charged over. He swung the mace in his hand at Xiao Chen's head. Cultivators who used huge weapons had a very direct fighting style. The might of the martial techniques they learned was also very strong. When they used their full power, the force they could achieve was rather impressive. Xiao Chen swung his saber upwards and the mace immediately fell down, blocking the handle of the lunar shadow saber. After that, no matter how much force he used, he could not move it any further. Pu Ci. Pu Ci. The other bandits continuously sent out saber chi and sword chi at Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen smiled faintly and exerted some force with his right hand. The bandit using the saber immediately felt a huge force. The saber in his hand flew out and he was forced to take a few steps back before he could stabilize himself. Swirling mountain destroys clouds. Xiao Chen shouted and the image of a mountain peak infused into the lunar shadow saber. A strong wind blew from the ground in front of him, scattering all the saber chi and sword chi flying at him. Lone Peak's fatal blow. Xiaoqin quickly took a step forward and hacked at the cultivator using the mace. A lone peak appeared above his head. The saber carried a huge force and chopped the bandit in half. Roaming Dragon's 9 transformations, clear wind slash. Xiaoqian's momentum was like a rainbow, and he continued to advance triumphantly. Suddenly, 9 cool breezes blew in the field, and each breeze hit a figure. Poochie poochie. Xiaoqin could only see the cool breeze and not the sabers. The 9 figures seemed illusory and real. There was no killing chi at all. Even the saber lights could not be seen. There was no way to avoid them. Immediately, 9 spurts of blood sprayed into the air, filling the sky. Huge wounds appeared on the chests of the 9 bandits, and blood poured out. The first leader was already within 100 meters of Xiaoqin when he saw the situation. Knowing that something was amiss, he quickly halted his footsteps and bellowed, "Stop him!" After he finished speaking, he immediately turned around and fled. Immediately, some fearless mounted bandits rushed towards Xiaoqin, blocking Xiaoqian's path. Courting death. Xiaoqin shouted coldly. The snow-white lunar shadow saber lit up with electricity and drew a purple arc in the air. Lightning flickered on the arc, emitting a constant sizzling sound. This was the second move of the rushing thunder saber technique, arc light chop. The surrounding martial Grand Master bandits were immediately chopped in half at the waist by the arclight. Electricity crackled on their wounds, charring them. Immediately, no one dared to get close to Xiaoqin. Taking advantage of this time, the Great Master rode a horse and galloped for 1,000 meters. Xiaoqin took out the Soul Slayer bow and Essence Light arrow from the Universe Ring. He drew the bow, drew the bowstring, and released. Chi! There was a piercing sonic boom in the air. The Essence Light arrow turned into a meteor and caught up to the fleeing Great Master in the blink of an eye, piercing through his chest. After the Essence Light arrow killed the Great Master, it continued flying for a few hundred meters before it slowly descended. With the death of their leader, the remaining bandits completely lost their confidence. They did not want to fight a meaningless battle, so they scattered. The 2 of them casually killed a few bandits and did not chase after them. Xiaoqin walked over to the Great Master's corpse. As for Lu Suifeng, he remained where he was and searched the corpses of the martial saint bandits. Xiaoqin had long felt that the potential of the Soul Slayer bow was limitless. Back then, when Xiaoqian's physical body reached small perfection, he managed to kill the Jiang clan's first elder with 1 arrow. Now that Xiaoqian's physical body strength had reached 6,000 kilograms of force, the might of the Soul Slayer bow would definitely increase significantly. However, killing a defenseless superior-grade martial saint with 1 arrow still shocked Xiaoqin. It looked like the might of the Soul Slayer bow was not limited to this. He wondered what kind of might a cultivator with a sage body could achieve in using the Soul Slayer bow. It might even be able to shoot down the stars in the sky. With such thoughts in mind, Xiaoqin slowly walked over to the Great Master. He removed the spatial ring on his right hand and poured out tens of thousands of inferior-grade spirit stones. This greatly astonished Xiaoqin. He did not expect the business of these bandits to be so good. No wonder there were so many bandits in the Devil Savannah. Xiaoqin smiled faintly and swept all the inferior-grade spirit stones into the ring. Then, he started to search for other things. There were still some trash spirit weapons and all sorts of secret manuals on the ground. They were not very useful, so Xiaoqin tossed them into the Universe Ring. Suddenly, a map glowing with spiritual light appeared in Xiaoqian's vision. Xiaoqin picked it up and looked at it. There were mountains and rivers on the map. There was also an arrowhead indicating a route. The end of the route was a river, and it was marked with a very eye-catching red dot. The end of the river seemed to be a vast ocean. The location marked with the red dot was an island. Xiaoqin was not familiar with the geography of the Great Qin nation. So, He did not know where the red dot on the map was. The material of the map was extraordinary. It gave off a very dense spiritual energy. It should be made from the skin of a high-ranked spirit beast. After he put away the map, Xiaochen muttered, "Looks like this map is not simple. If I have time in the future, I should find an opportunity to search for the end. Who knows, there might be a fortuitous encounter there." To all cultivators, fortuitous encounters were things they dreamed of. In reality, all the famous experts in history had more or less had their own fortuitous encounters. It was still the same in the current world. Many ordinary cultivators experienced an explosive increase in strength after a fortuitous encounter. Under the same conditions, talent, comprehension ability, martial techniques, and cultivation techniques, all geniuses would be able to break out of the encirclement. If they wanted to fight their way out of the encirclement and take the lead, it would depend on how many fortuitous encounters each genius had. Xiao Chen's fortuitous encounter in Savage Forest could also be considered a fortuitous encounter. It was just that he did not gain much from that fortuitous encounter. Now that he thought about it, he only gained some inferior grade spirit stones and a broken sword from that fortuitous encounter. The true benefits were probably all obtained by Chu Xiaoyang. "Xiao Chen, how was your harvest?" "I found 4,000 inferior grade spirit stones from that group of people. There were also many medicinal pills and spirit cores of spirit beasts. In total, there are more than 8,000 inferior grade spirit stones." Just as Xiao Chen was thinking, Lu Suifeng's excited voice came from behind. Xiao Chen stood up and smiled faintly, "Not bad. There are more than 10,000 inferior grade spirit stones in this fellow's spatial ring." Lu Suifeng was flabbergasted. He said, "This group of bandits is really extraordinarily rich." Xiao Chen looked around the vast grassland. When he looked up, all he could see was withered yellow grass. When the wind blew, it was like a wave moving about. This place is a good place to be a bandit. When there are merchant groups or lone cultivators passing by, they will rob the merchants. When there are no merchants, they will kill spirit beasts. It would be hard to become skinny in such a situation. Lu Suifeng smiled and said, "Based on what you said, we would be rich after we clean out all the bandits this time." Xiao Chen shook his head and said, "That is not realistic. We can think that way, and others can think that way as well. However, the bandits on the grassland are still very active. There must be something we do not know." Lu Suifeng nodded and said, "That's right. I once heard that the 3 inherited clans of the Shihe province surrounded the bandits on the Devil Savannah. However, they all died in the end. If I think about it, it should be the same as what you said." The two of them stopped discussing and found their own dragon blood horses. Then, they continued their journey quickly. In the clouds 5,000 meters high in the sky, an old man hid himself in a white cloud drifting in the wind and saw everything that was happening on the ground. After a while, he revealed a cautious smile. "It looks like Song Kei's deal is not going to be easy. I knew that 1,000 medial grade spirit stones would not be so easy to obtain. This brat has not revealed all his trump cards yet. I will continue to observe him for a few more days. Song Kei is not easy to deal with. I am just an inferior grade martial king. I have to be even more cautious." This old man was called Yu Mingshan. He was an inferior grade martial king and a lone cultivator. He was a cautious person and was somewhat famous in the Shihe province. He had been friends with Song Kei for a long time in the past. After he agreed to help Song Kei kill Xiao Chen, he became more cautious. Song Kei actually offered a price of 1,000 medial grade spirit stones for an insignificant inferior grade martial saint. After Yu Mingshan confirmed that Song Kei was only an inferior grade martial saint, he became even more cautious. There was definitely something strange going on. Yu Mingshan was very clear on what kind of person Song Kei was. If even he found it difficult to deal with someone, it would definitely not be easy. Indeed, after a few days of observation and today's battle, Yu Mingshan's guess was verified. Although Xiao Chen was only an inferior grade martial saint, his combat prowess could easily kill a superior grade martial saint. Xiao Chen's actual combat prowess was probably comparable to a peak superior grade martial saint. Yu Mingshan muttered, "If that is all, I am not afraid. If he has an inherited martial spirit, then I might as well forget about this deal." Xiao Chen and Yu Mingshan did not know that they were being watched. They continued to gallop across the vast devil savanna. In the blink of an eye, 5 days passed. The two of them ran into a few more groups of bandits. In the end, all the bandits did not return. They were robbed clean by the two of them. In the past 5 days, the two of them had gained another 20,000 inferior grade spirit stones. Of course, along the way, they ran into some strong groups of bandits. The leaders were martial kings and there were more than 1,000 of them. Xiao Chen maintained a vigilant state. He kept his spiritual sense out. Hence, when he ran into these bandits, he would avoid them when they were 2 kilometers away. He would not overestimate himself. Chapter 263. On this particular day, the two of them cleared out another group of bandits. After Lu Suifeng looted the corpses on the ground, he said joyfully, "Originally, I thought there would be some danger in this devil savanna. I did not expect there to be so much unexpected wealth. The spirit stones I obtained are even more than what I brought." Xiao Chen shook his head in his heart. It seemed like things had been going too smoothly for the past few days, causing Lu Suifeng's confidence to swell. In reality, this devil savanna was filled with danger. It was not like what Lu Suifeng said. If it were not for Xiao Chen accompanying him, Lu Suifeng would not have been able to travel so far alone. Any group of bandits could easily kill him. Even Xiao Chen did not dare to let his guard down in this devil savanna. A few days ago, Xiao Chen had personally seen a group of bandits led by a peak martial king. A regular heavenly saber pavilion elder would not be a match for the leader of the bandits. "I have to warn Lu Suifeng," Xiao Chen said. "In that case, you will have to continue the rest of the journey alone. That way, I won't have to split the spirit stones with you." When Lu Suifeng heard this, he was stunned. Then, he remembered that his words were indeed inappropriate. He said, "Yi Chen, don't worry. I was just saying. I am still clear about the situation here." Xiao Chen heaved a sigh of relief. It seemed like Lu Suifeng was a reasonable person. He knew when to advance and when to retreat. Kill! 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 As the two of them spoke, a cool breeze carried the sounds of killing into their ears. Their expressions changed and they quickly stopped talking, listening intently. Lu Suifeng said, "It seems like a group of merchants was robbed by bandits. Should we go and take a look?" At the end of the Devil Savannah was the Black Dragon River that traversed the Great Qin nation. There was a huge harbor there. Using the harbor, the goods of the Great Qin nation could be transported to the various countries of the Tianwu continent. Hence, there were many merchant groups coming and going in the Devil Savannah. The two of them had seen many merchant groups in the past few days. When they came across anyone that needed help, they would lend a hand. That was why Lu Suifeng asked. Xiao Chen nodded and said, "There's a slope there. We should be able to observe the scene ahead. Let's take a look first." To the best of his abilities, Xiao Chen would try his best to help the caravan. However, if the bandit group was too strong, Xiao Chen would not be so foolish as to risk his life. Caution was the most important thing. The two of them rushed to the high ground and finally saw the situation in front of them clearly. There was indeed a caravan being surrounded and attacked by a group of about 500 mounted bandits. The bandits were unstoppable, beating up the merchant group's guards until they could not retaliate at all. All of them shouted excitedly. This caravan was rather strange. All the boxes and carriages were inlaid with a layer of dazzling gold, which was extremely dazzling under the direct sunlight. Moreover, the two of them did not see the flag of the Chamber of Commerce, which meant that this was a very small Chamber of Commerce. It was not important whether or not the flag was displayed. Lu Suifeng said suspiciously, "Why is this caravan so ostentatious? It is like they are luring the bandits to rob them. Those bandits do not seem difficult to deal with. Should we make a move?" Xiaochen felt it was very strange as well. Normally, caravans would be very low-key, doing their best not to attract the attention of the bandits. Some caravans would even purposely dress up in tatters. However, this caravan was different. From the boxes to the carriages, everything was inlaid with gold. Even the saddles on the horses were made of pure gold. Xiaochen thought for a while and said, "There is definitely something strange about this caravan. Let's wait a while more." At this moment, the bandits in the distance were already near the core of the caravan. There was a very luxurious carriage parked there. The carriage was led by 5 pure gold horses. It was 100 square meters large. The decorations on the handrails and the wheels were all made of pure gold. How tacky, Xiaochen thought to himself as he shook his head. This is simply a moving treasury. It would be a miracle if it was not robbed in the Devil Savannah. Ha ha ha. Another fat fish has taken the bait. Suddenly, a vulgar laughter came from the luxurious carriage. Hu Chi. A fat figure flew out from the window of the carriage. That person held a huge golden coffin lid in his hand. The fat figure flashed quickly in the air. His speed was uncoordinated with his body, it was unbelievably fast. Bang! The coffin lid swept through the air and struck the leader of the bandits. The saber that the leader of the bandits wanted to block was smashed into pieces by the coffin lid. The coffin lid carried a huge force. With a schwa sound, the first leader of the bandits vomited blood and was sent flying. He could not resist at all. Fatso smashed the coffin lid heavily on the ground, giving off a loud sound. The entire ground started to tremble. The horses on the ground were startled. They swayed left and right, and the bandits on them fell to the ground. Fatso shouted, "All of you, stop pretending. Stand up for this fat lord." The bandits on the ground felt it was strange. Who is pretending? We really fell down. Even if you don't tell us, we will stand up. Schwa. Schwa. However, something shocking happened. The guards that they had knocked to the ground earlier all stood up energetically. It was as if nothing had happened to them. The aura they gave off was ferocious, and a ferocious light shone in their eyes. Their eyes were filled with malicious intent. They looked even more like bandits than the bandits themselves. The bandits stood up and slowly gathered together. Only then did they realize that they had unknowingly been surrounded by the guards of this caravan. They immediately panicked. Bang! Fatso suddenly jumped on the ground. He smashed the coffin lid in his hand at the bandit leader who had just stood up. Before the bandit leader could react, he was smashed to the ground again. Blood flowed out of his head. This time, he could no longer stand up. Fatso stomped on the bandit leader, who was struggling to stand up again. He placed the golden coffin lid heavily on the ground and scolded, "Did this fat lord say that you could stand up? You are still standing. This fat lord will trample you to death." A ferocious glint flashed in Fatty's eyes as he swept his gaze across the bandits. When the other bandits saw the fate of their leader, they immediately understood Fatty's intentions. One by one, they immediately crouched down. Suddenly, Fatso laughed loudly, "I hereby announce that this is a robbery. Aside from your underwear, leave everything behind for this fat lord." The situation instantly turned around. Under Fatso's strong aura, the bandits on the ground did not dare to resist. They prostrated themselves on the ground obediently, not daring to move at all. Just look at the first leader's situation. Even now, he was still being trampled on. This time, they could only admit defeat. After a while, a person walked over quickly. This person was the manservant from Whitewater City. "Young master, I have counted everything. There is a total of 10,000 inferior grade spirit stones. Adding the other goods, there is a total of 15,000 inferior grade spirit stones. Fatso frowned slightly and said something that caused all the bandits on the ground to vomit blood. Why is it so little? Did you follow my instructions? Did you even search the underwear? On the slope, Xiao Chen and Lu Suifeng looked at the situation. They were both astonished. Xiao Chen revealed a faint smile. He was just about to settle the score with Fatso. He did not expect to meet him here. Actually, he should have thought of it long ago. Only this damn Fatso, Kim Tae-ho, would dare to use such a tacky and tasteless carriage. Lu Suifeng suddenly understood, so, it is the Jin clan's Kim Tae-ho. No wonder he dared to be so ostentatious. I actually misjudged him earlier. When Xiao Chen heard this, he was somewhat surprised. He asked, you know him? Lu Suifeng nodded and explained, he is the young master of the No. 1 Merchant Association in the Great Tang Nation, the Golden Rock Merchant Association. At the same time, it is one of the 5 great merchant associations in the world. It is on the same level as the Great Qin Nation's Phoenix Feather Merchant Association. The Golden Rock Merchant Association was not very famous in the Great Qin Nation in the past. However, in the past few years, this person and the people from the Heavenly Craft Manor got on good terms. Now, they are very active in the Great Qin Nation, one of the 5 great merchant associations. I did not expect this Fatso to have such a great background. When Xiao Chen heard Lu Suifeng's explanation, he sighed in his heart. He had already guessed that this person's background was not simple. However, he did not expect it to be so horrifying. Lu Suifeng had some panic in his eyes. He said, Yi Chen, let's leave quickly. This person has a bad reputation. It will not be a good thing if we are targeted by him. Xiao Chen felt it was strange. He asked, why? Lu Suifeng said, his reputation in the Shihe province is very horrifying. Rumor has it that the heir of the Yan clan, one of the 3 noble clans of the Shihe province, was ruthlessly humiliated by this person in the Dongming province. After Yan Qianhe returned, he could not bear the humiliation and felt too ashamed to face anyone. Hence, he disappeared. Xiao Chen felt ashamed in his heart. This rumor was extraordinarily horrifying. He clearly killed Yan Qianhe. Now, it turned out that he could not bear the humiliation and disappeared. Xiao Chen smiled faintly and said, it is just a rumor. Let's go. I still have a score to settle with this Fatso. Under Lu Suifeng's astonished gaze, Xiao Chen had already leaped over the mound and was quickly flying downwards. Fatso had a pleased smile on his face. He inadvertently glanced at the approaching Xiao Chen and was startled. He thought he saw wrong. He looked again to confirm it. Then, he quickly let go of the first leader and moved back. Blue Dragon Tail Whip. Xiao Chen shouted and moved in a purple arc in the air. It was like a flood dragon moving in the air. With a shwa sound, he arrived before Kim Tae-ho. Brother Debao, we meet again. Don't you recognize me? Why are you running so fast? Xiao Chen smiled gently as he stood before Kim Tae-ho. Kim Tae-ho revealed an embarrassed smile. He placed the coffin in his hand into his spatial ring and said, I really don't recognize you. I thought you were some powerful expert. Xiao Chen said indifferently, stop pretending. You went to the Heavenly Saber Pavilion not long ago. Do you have anything to explain? Kim Tae-ho had a righteous expression as he said, it was that woman who forced me. You have to believe me. She had something on me. I was forced to say that because I had no other choice. It would be strange if I believed you. Xiao Chen could not be bothered with him. He said, I knew you would say that. Stop speaking nonsense. This sculpture actually sold for 100 inferior grade spirit stones each. How many spirit stones are you prepared to split with me? Kim Tae-ho smiled embarrassedly, what kind of relationship do we have? Talking about money will hurt our relationship. Come, let's go to my carriage. Don't say anything, I'll take good care of you. Chapter 264. Lu Suifeng rushed over quickly. When he saw Kim Tae-ho smiling at Xiao Chen, he was astonished. He had not expected the incredibly difficult Kim Tae-ho to reveal such an expression. Up in the sky, on a floating cloud, Yu Mingshan frowned slightly. He said, I can already confirm that he does not have an inherited martial spirit. However, he is actually mingling with the people of the Golden Rock Merchant Association. It looks like I can only find another opportunity to make a move. Inside the luxurious carriage, Xiao Chen and Kim Tae-ho each sat at a table. Compared to the decorations outside, the interior of this luxurious carriage was much simpler. As the carriage moved quickly, it was very stable. Xiao Chen, who was seated inside, did not feel any bumps. Kim Tae-ho glanced at Bai, who was seated beside him. He smiled and said, this Bai is becoming more and more adorable. Pu ci. Kim Tae-ho was just about to stretch out his hand to rub Bai's head. However, before he could touch it, Bai's claws scratched him. He said in astonishment, you are still so ruthless. Fortunately, this fat lord's skin is tough, so I am fine. Xiao Chen smiled faintly and asked, how is your investigation of the Tianwu Emperor's tomb? Xiao Chen had always been very curious about the Tianwu Emperor's tomb in the ancient remnant. However, he did not have the time to investigate. Now that he coincidentally met Kim Tae-ho, naturally, he had to get to the bottom of it. Kim Tae-ho withdrew his smile and shook his head, there is no useful information. I can only confirm that the corpse of the last Tianwu emperor was indeed taken away by Chu Chaoyun. After that, Chu Chaoyun has been in closed-door cultivation in the Misty Sword sect. He only came out recently. Xiao Chen's expression turned grave. Honestly speaking, he had been out for a long time and had rarely suffered a loss. However, he had suffered more than once at the hands of Chu Chaoyun. He was very afraid of this person, so he wanted to find out more about him. He continued to ask, how is his cultivation now? Do you have a specific reference? Kim Tae-ho said, I have not seen it personally, but it is probably a peak superior grade martial saint at the very least. That golden coffin would definitely help a cultivator cultivate faster. To be able to cultivate so quickly while lying in a coffin was a little strange. Xiao Chen asked in surprise, how did you know? Fatso chuckled and said, don't forget, your Lord Fatty also snatched a coffin lid. After studying it for such a long time, I can confirm this conclusion. Xiao Chen had a deep impression of the golden coffin lid just now. When he waved it, it seemed ordinary, but his divine sense sensed that the space around him seemed to be fluctuating. As he waved his hand, he seemed to shatter the void, forming an immature little world. Xiao Chen collected his thoughts and asked sullenly, did Chu Chaoyun obtain the heavenly flame inherited by the Tianwu Emperor? This was the question that concerned Xiao Chen the most. Although the inherited heavenly flame was only a tenth of the original, its might was still very horrifying. If he could completely grasp it, it would be even stronger than Xiao Chen's purple thunder true fire. Xiao Chen was not afraid of Chu Chaoyun's cultivation being higher than his. As long as it was not an entire cultivation realm higher, he would not fear a peak martial saint with his combat prowess. However, if Chu Chaoyun grasped the heavenly flame, he would be feared. His innate martial technique, cultivation technique, and martial spirit were all at the peak of the same generation. If Chu Chaoyun completely grasped the heavenly flame, he would be unrivaled among martial saints. Kim Tae-ho had a grave expression as he said, prepare yourself for the worst. I estimate that he can use at least a quarter of that tenth of the heavenly flame. Furthermore, he should have obtained the inherited martial technique of the Tianwu dynasty, the life-extinguishing blood-reversing swordplay. If it were in the past, Xiao Chen might have doubted Fatso's words. However, after knowing that he was the young master of the Golden Rock Merchant Association, he was certain of it. In terms of intelligence, even the royal courts of the various nations would not be as comprehensive as these merchant associations. When doing business, information was always the most important thing. Suddenly, Kim Tae-ho thought of something and said, "That's right, you should be going to Shiha City to participate in the Linlang Pavilion's auction, right? Chu Chaoyun will be participating as well. You might run into him." Chu Chaoyun was going to participate in the auction as well. Xiaochen frowned slightly. He had a vague feeling that this auction might be more complicated than he imagined. Xiaochen cupped his hands to Fatso and said, "Thank you. I will be careful and try to avoid him." Fatso laughed loudly. "What are you thanking me for? What kind of relationship do we have? Furthermore, let me tell you some news. The strength of your old opponents have increased by leaps and bounds. Duamuking has already practiced the profound ice incantation to the 9th layer. Her strength is even more horrifying. Just looking at her now makes me feel like I have fallen into an ice cave. Hua Yunfei's martial spirit has already undergone a deep awakening. He has already practiced the blood shadow sword technique to great perfection. His entire person has become incomparably evil. It is very strange. Of course, the most horrifying ones are not these two but the Gi Marquis and Ji Changkong. In terms of gains, their gains in the ancient remnant are probably second only to Chu Chaoyun." Xiaochen felt suspicious and asked, "What do you mean? Our gains are not small, right? Could it be that their gains are even greater than ours?" Fatso smiled in disdain. "Our gains are nothing. Let's talk about the Gi Marquis first. This brat obtained the Tianwu dynasty's inherited holy weapon, the sky-splitting sword. Originally, I thought it was just a holy weapon with an incomplete Dao. It was not a big deal. After all, although such incomplete holy weapons are rare, they are not particularly precious. However, now I know that this brat is really lucky. That sky-splitting sword has been passed down from the first Tianwu emperor until now. The Dao of that heaven-splitting sword is actually complete. It only lost some in the past 1,000 years. After 10 years, it will be completely restored." The so-called holy weapon referred to the weapons used by the sages of the ancient era. At that time, the cultivation realms of cultivators were different from now. The difference between the ancient era's sages and the current martial sages was huge. In terms of strength, the ancient era's sages were equivalent to the current Emperor Wu. The current martial sages were nothing in front of the ancient era's sages. The classification of weapons at that time was also different from the current one. There was no such thing as heaven, earth, profound, or yellow spirit weapons. The sages had already seen a trace of the heavenly Tao. Every move they made could affect the laws of heaven and earth. As for the weapons they used, under the influence of the laws of heaven and earth, they would slowly gain a trace of the Tao. After these weapons were passed down, after 10,000 years, although the Tao became incomplete, the essence of the weapon was not damaged at all. When a cultivator used a holy weapon, they could use these incomplete Tao to change the laws of heaven and earth when they made a move. They could achieve an unimaginable effect in battle. However, because the Tao was incomplete, it was very difficult to truly change the laws of heaven and earth. There would be situations where it would be ineffective at times. Being able to succeed once out of 10 times was already pretty good. However, if it was a holy weapon with a complete Tao, it would be a different story. One could achieve a success rate of 5 out of 10 times. If one could comprehend the Tao, they would be able to change the laws of heaven and earth every time they made a move. This would raise the cultivator's strength to a horrifying level. Jean Fatso took a sip of tea and continued, "As for Ji Changkong, his luck is even better. That brat's talent is too high. He has already comprehended 80 to 90% of that sage Tao comprehension painting. Every time he makes a move, there is a faint trace of the Tao circulating around it. It is even more effective than a holy weapon." Xiaochen smiled bitterly and did not say anything. This was the so-called fortuitous encounter. Although fortuitous encounters were vague and illusory, they were a kind of great luck. They truly existed in this world. Although it was a fortuitous encounter, some people gained nothing. They were even fed to spirit beasts and died without a burial. However, Some people gained many things. Their strength advanced by leaps and bounds, standing out like a crane in a flock of chickens. These were all people with great luck. Many experts in history had such encounters. The cultivators of the same generation as them all became their stepping stones. However, their names were passed down for eternity. Xiaoqin thought to himself, 2 years from now, I have to defeat all these people. Otherwise, I will never be able to compete with them in terms of luck. Even if I have a fortuitous encounter in the future, without great luck, I will not gain much. In the long run, I will become a stepping stone for others. Xiaoqin thought of something and said, from your tone earlier, it seems like you are not going to the Shihe province's auction. Kim Tae-ho nodded and said, I have seen many auctions and can't be bothered to go. If I really want to find a peak treasure, I would have to go to the underground auction in the ancient desolate land. There is also the peak auction in the great Jin nation. That is the true grand scene. Let me tell you, that scene, seeing that Fatso was about to continue showing off, Xiaoqin knew that he would not stop. He quickly stopped him and said, stop right there. There is no need to discuss this. Since you are not going to Shihe City, could it be that you are really transporting goods through the Black Dragon River to another nation? Earlier, Xiaoqin had taken some time to use his spiritual sense to scan Fatso's gold boxes. In the end, he discovered that they were all empty, there was nothing inside. Although the fatty had a lot of spatial rings, it was still not enough to transport the goods. Regular spatial rings were only a few dozen square meters. It was impossible for them to transport large amounts of goods. As for the peak spatial rings, not to mention the scarcity of them, even the peak spatial rings were only a few hundred square meters. They would not be able to transport large amounts of goods. Hence, when Fatso said that he was not going to Shihe City, Xiaoqin was somewhat surprised. If he was not transporting goods or going to an auction, why did Fatso come to the Devil Savannah? Fatso smiled and said, of course, it is impossible to transport goods. I have not participated in the trade route of the Devil Savannah yet, so I cannot take this route for now. The purpose of my trip here is for a legend regarding the treasure of the Devil Savannah. Legend? Xiaoqin laughed hoarsely and said, you purposely came to the Devil Savannah just for a legend? Pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger? You can't go so far, right? Fatso said, naturally, there is some basis for it. In the past, there was a group of bandits on this Devil Savannah that made people tremble with fear. The strength of the leader of the bandits was unfathomable. Later on, he was probably a martial sage at the very least. If one wanted to travel through this merchant association, one would have to pay him a toll. Chapter 265. The merchant associations that resisted did not have a good ending. He monopolized this golden trade route. In the end, he accumulated a shocking amount of wealth. Xiaoqin was flabbergasted. He was in disbelief, a bona fide martial sage did not cultivate properly. Instead, he came here to be a bandit. Do you think that is possible? When a person reached the martial sage realm, their vision was much higher than that of ordinary people. They no longer cared about worldly things. They would focus their entire life on reaching the peak of martial cultivation. Very few people would be reluctant to part with these worldly possessions. Jean Fatso said, how is it not possible? Back then, the 3 noble clans of the Shihe province surrounded the savannah a few times. Do you think it was to deal with the bandits? It was to obtain the map he left behind. Your heavenly saber pavilion sent people to participate a few times as well. When Xiaoqin heard the word map, he felt excited. He asked, he left behind a map. What do you mean? Explain it more clearly. Jean Fatso muttered to himself for a while before saying, everyone will die eventually. Even someone as strong as Emperor Wu was no exception. Naturally, there is no need to talk about martial sages. After this person died, he buried all his accumulated wealth on an island in the boundless sea. He left many maps for his descendants. The maps described the location of the island in detail. Furthermore, only by obtaining the map could they open the door to the treasure. Unfortunately, his descendants were not up to expectations. Not long after he died, his descendants were all killed by his enemies. The map was also scattered everywhere. Someone once obtained the map and found the island. However, there was a huge storm outside the island. Even someone as strong as a martial king could not enter, they could only watch helplessly. Later on, someone accidentally found out that this storm would disappear for a period of time every 100 years. Hence, these maps were put to use once again. The treasures were not placed together. Every time, someone would bring out a large number of treasures. Of course, there were many people who died in there as well. The 100 years are about to arrive again. Hence, this fat lord intends to try his luck. My movements are already much slower. I wonder if the people of the 3 noble clans managed to obtain the map in the previous encirclement. Kim Tae-ho explains slowly but clearly. Xiao Qin immediately understood the reason behind it. I didn't know if the blueprint in my hand was what Fatso was looking for. Xiao Qin thought for a while and asked, how long until the 100-year deadline arrives? Fatso pondered for a moment before replying, about a year. This fat lord intends to spend this year in the Devil Prairie. Even if I can't find the blueprint, I can still earn some extra money. There was still a year left, so there was no need to worry. Xiao Qin thought to himself, I can put this matter aside for now. After traveling in the carriage for half a day, the two of them bid farewell to Kim Tae-ho and left. Kim Tae-ho continued to play the pig to eat the tiger, while the two of them walked towards the exit of the Devil Prairie. Along the way, Xiao Qin asked, Sui Feng, have you heard of the legend of the treasure map in the Devil Prairie? When Lu Sui Feng heard this, he thought for a long time before saying, I seem to have heard of it before. However, I did not pay much attention to it. I have pretty much forgotten about it already. Do you want to go treasure hunting? Xiao Qin smiled faintly, I do not have the time for now. My main goal now is to quickly grasp listening to the sword and communicating with it. I already have some progress and do not wish to be delayed by other matters. The two of them traveled for another 3 days. Because they were nearing the borders of the Devil Prairie, the number of bandits they met slowly decreased. On the other hand, there were more and more merchant groups gathering. That afternoon, the silhouette of a small town appeared in their vision. Lu Suifeng said excitedly, we finally left this prairie. After this, we will travel by water for another 3 days and land for another half a day before we reach Shiha City. Xiao Qin also heaved a sigh of relief in his heart. Although his body was fine, he was mentally fatigued after spending the past few days in the wilderness. The nameless town in front was specially used to resupply the merchant groups and cultivators that passed through the Devil Prairie. There were inns and trading centers everywhere. Many cultivators training in the Devil Prairie would choose to sell their harvests here. Hence, although the town was small, it was very bustling and noisy. The two of them found an inn and had a good meal. Then, they each chose a room and rested. In the room, Xiao Qin sat cross-legged on the bed. The qi whirlpool in his dantian spun slowly. The purple thunder divine incantation flowed along his meridians. ZZ. There were countless electric currents in the room, crackling non-stop. Pure lightning attributed spiritual energy poured into Xiao Chen's body continuously. The spiritual energy below the mountain was very thin, it could not be compared to the Lingyun mountain range. Xiao Chen felt that it was at least 50% weaker. With such a huge difference, it was no wonder these great sects were so attractive to cultivators. After 4 hours, Xiao Chen stopped circulating his energy and opened his eyes. The electric currents in the room had not dissipated yet, they flickered occasionally. Xiao Chen frowned slightly and said, my state of thunder seems to be improving every day. If this continues, I might not even be able to execute the twisting road around peak. I have to find a lightning-attributed martial technique as soon as possible. Bang! 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 Knocks came from the door. Lu Suifeng's voice came from outside. Yi Chen, I intend to sell some spirit pills and materials here. Do you want to come with me? There were many merchants in the town that bought all sorts of spirit beast materials. Earlier, when the two of them were walking, many merchants had asked them about their cultivator attire. Because they were busy resting, they rejected all of them. Now that they had rested, they thought about it and felt that it was a good decision. There were still 3 days before they would be arriving at Shihe City to participate in the auction. With more spirit stones in hand, they would feel more at ease. Xiaoqin did not think too much about it and agreed to this suggestion. The two of them walked out of the inn and headed for the busiest trading area in the town, buying all sorts of wind-attributed spirit cores at a high price. As long as it is wind-attributed, regardless of rank. Buying as many as you can. Only 2 hours. Be quick. Selling 10 rank 5 spirit cores of various attributes. There are also high-ranked spirit beasts pelts. Buying 10 stalks of desolate grass. If there are any cultivators, please look for me quickly. All sorts of clamorous cries entered the two's ears. It was very bustling. There were cultivators setting up stalls on both sides of the road. Merchants continuously went over to inquire about prices. Although the place was messy, there were professionals managing it. Without permission, one could not set up a stall here. Otherwise, the town manager would chase them away. Xiao Chen and Lu Suifeng arrived at the management area and queued for an hour before they found an empty stall. The manager handed the signboard and various tools for setting up a stall to the two of them. The service was rather good. However, the price made them flabbergasted. Lu Suifeng was not just an ordinary person. Setting up a stall for 2 hours and you have to charge 10 inferior grade spirit stones. Xiaoqin wrote on the signboard, selling spirit cores of spirit beasts and all sorts of materials. Spirit stones for transactions. After Xiaoqin finished writing, he smiled faintly and said, never mind, it is just 10 inferior grade spirit stones. To you, it is just a drop in the bucket. Let's go set up the stall first. Hopefully, there will be a big merchant who can sell everything in one go. When they arrived at the stall, they changed the signboard. After a while, a merchant wearing luxurious golden clothes walked over. This merchant was about 40 years old. There were 2 martial saint guards beside him. His slightly plump face was filled with smiles. 2 little brothers, are you selling spirit cores of spirit beasts? The middle-aged merchant asked with a smile. Xiaoqin nodded and said, the spirit cores are all rank 3 and above. There are about 3,000 of them. Aside from that, there are also some spirit beast skins. They are at least rank 3 spirit beasts. Most of these spirit cores were snatched from the bandits of the Devil Savannah. A small portion of them were spirit beasts that the two of them had personally killed. The space in the spatial ring was limited. Earlier, the two of them had tidied it up and tossed away the rank 2 spirit cores. They only kept the spirit cores of rank 3 spirit beasts and above. Even so, there were more than 3,000 of them. They were worth quite a lot. The middle-aged merchant was mildly astonished. He did not expect to come across such a big deal when he casually asked. His expression did not change as he continued to ask, can I take a look at the goods? Xiaoqin nodded and Lu Suifeng poured out all the spirit cores of the two of them and all sorts of materials from the spatial ring. A large pile of spirit cores filled the entire stall. Immediately, countless gazes looked over. Amidst the greedy and envious gazes, Xiaoqin even felt a few gazes filled with killing intent. This was not strange. The cultivators here were all people who bled on the edge of their blades. They had more or less taken human lives. It was not uncommon to get greedy at the sight of wealth and to kill others to steal their wealth. Xiaoqin smiled faintly and ignored him. He asked, how about it? State your price. The middle-aged merchant was overjoyed in his heart. However, his expression did not change. He tried asking, are the two of you not accepting gold? If you want to use gold, I can give you an even better price. After Xiao Chen saw the use of spirit stones, how could he care about gold? He decisively shook his head and rejected. Lu Suifeng said, "Could it be that you cannot afford it?" The middle-aged merchant laughed loudly, "I am just saying. I am still able to afford this amount of spirit stones. A fixed price of 10,000 inferior-grade spirit stones. I want all of them. We can transact on the spot, or you can choose the place to transact." The middle-aged merchant also understood the principle of not revealing one's wealth. Hence, he was very humane and gave out 2 methods of transacting. The 2 of them could choose the place to transact. Xiao Chen thought for a while. This merchant's origins are unknown. Although it is easy to reveal his wealth if they transact on the spot, I have to guard against him if I transact elsewhere. There was a certain amount of risk in both methods. Xiao Chen chose to transact on the spot. At the very least, he would be able to obtain the spirit stones at the first possible moment. This would put him at ease. The middle-aged merchant no longer hesitated and gave some instructions. A guard beside him took out his spatial ring and touched it to Xiao Chen's universe ring. In the next moment, Xiao Chen felt that there were many more spirit stones in his spatial ring. When he counted them, there were exactly 10,000 inferior-grade spirit stones. The middle-aged merchant took out 2 name cards and handed them to the 2 of them. He smiled and said, "This humble servant's surname is Guan. I am working for the Yun Clan's Merchant Association. I hope that there will be opportunities for us to work together in the future. If you use this name card to shop in the Yun Clan's shops, you will be able to enjoy a 10% discount." Chapter 266. Yun Clan. Xiao Chen was deep in thought. In the entire Shihe province, only the Yun clan would be able to take out 10,000 spirit stones so casually. Xiao Chen put away the name card and waited for the merchant to go far away. Then, he said, "We cannot spend the night here. We have to rush to the port before it gets dark. Someone is already watching us." Lu Suifeng nodded his head. A transaction of 10,000 inferior-grade spirit stones was already a large transaction in this small town. Furthermore, the 2 of them were only inferior-grade martial saints. It would be strange if they were not targeted. The 2 of them returned to the inn and packed up. After they restocked their rations, they quickly rode the dragon blood horse out of the nameless town. The sun set in the west. The setting sun looked like blood. Large patches of red clouds dyed the entire western sky red. The afterglow of the sun shone on Xiao Chen and Lu Suifeng, giving them a faint glow. 2 long shadows appeared on the road. Dong! 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 The intruders were faster than the 2 of them had expected. They had only traveled for about 10 minutes before they were blocked by a group of cultivators wielding weapons and surging with killing chi. Xiao Chen quickly scanned the group in front of him. There was a total of 18 people. The weakest of them was an inferior-grade martial saint. 2 of them were even superior-grade martial saints. Xiao Chen's gaze lingered on the 2 of them. One of them was dressed in white. He held a sword in his hand. The tip of the sword gave off a piercingly cold light. Under the light of the setting sun, it looked very dazzling. The other person had his arms exposed. His upper body was covered in battle armor. He held a 2-meter-long spear in his hand. He had a ferocious expression on his face. There was a group of cultivators standing behind the 2 of them. It looked like the 2 groups were together. The white-clothed swordsman slowly walked forward. He looked at Xiao Chen and Lu Suifeng and revealed a faint smile. "We are only here for wealth. We do not wish to harm anyone. Leave behind the spirit stones in your hands, and I will guarantee your safety." The other spear-wielding blue-clothed man released his killing intent without holding back. His eyes revealed a ferocious glint as he said viciously, "I do not have much patience. Hurry up and take the initiative. It will be good for everyone. Otherwise, I will make it hard for you to die." The two of them slowly unleashed their superior-grade martial saint auras, pressing heavily on Xiao Chen and Lu Suifeng. The two huge auras merged together. Even the air turned solid, making breathing difficult. Lu Suifeng could not help but panic. He took out his identity token and said, "We are Heavenly Saber Pavilion Core disciples. Quickly move aside and I will pretend nothing happened. Otherwise, even if you flee to the ends of the earth, you will not be able to escape the pursuit of the Divine Saber Camp." Xiao Chen shook his head. His hand subconsciously moved to the hilt of his saber. This group of people already knew who they were. Otherwise, they would not waste so much time talking nonsense. If Xiao Chen were an inferior-grade martial saint without any background, he would have charged over without any fear. He would not have used such small tricks to threaten and scare him. They were probably afraid of the Heavenly Saber Pavilion's revenge. However, since this group of people dared to chase after them, it meant that they were fugitives. They did not fear the Heavenly Saber Pavilion's revenge. It would be best if they did not offend the Heavenly Saber Pavilion. If they offended them, they would just have to take a large sum of spirit stones. If they left the Shiha province and hid at the ends of the earth, the Heavenly Saber Pavilion would not be able to do anything to them. They slowly gathered their auras and did not release them. The sky above their heads turned dark without them realizing it. Dark clouds churned, the might of thunder was formed. The blue-clothed spearman smiled coldly. "Do you think I am easy to scare? You are just two inferior-grade martial saint core disciples. Will the Heavenly Saber Pavilion mobilize the Divine Saber Camp for you? I will say it again, take the initiative to hand over all the spirit stones in your hands." The white-clothed spearman continued to reveal a faint smile. He looked very calm as he said, "The two of you, we are only seeking wealth. We do not have any other intentions. Leave the spirit stones behind. That would be the best for everyone." Of the two of them, one was playing the good cop and the other was playing the bad cop. If it were a sect disciple without much experience, they would definitely hand over the spirit stones in their hands in such a situation. Unfortunately, Xiao Chen could not be bothered with them. He swung his right hand, which was on the saber hilt. The aura that he had been gathering burst forth and suppressed the auras of the two of them. Rumble. Suddenly, there was an explosion in the quiet sky. A resplendent saber light lit up the sky, resonating with the lightning descending from the sky. Xiao Chen's figure arrived beside the white-clothed spearman in an instant. His saber light flickered and his aura flourished, piercing through the 9 heavens. The white-clothed swordsman was incomparably horrified. He had not expected Xiao Chen to make a move so suddenly. Furthermore, the moment Xiao Chen made his move, it was a lightning-fast strike. His aura completely suppressed the two of them mercilessly. His speed and strength were at the peak. This was not a rookie. From the start, the other party did not intend to flee or hand over the spirit stones. However, the white-clothed swordsman thought that victory was in his grasp. They did not know that the other party was preparing a startling strike. In that instant, the white-clothed swordsman thought of many things. He did his best to retreat. However, he had lost the initiative, and his aura fell to rock bottom. How could he dodge Xiao Chen's peak strike with a flourishing aura, which he had been preparing for a long time? Pu Ci. The saber light flickered, and a horrifying wound appeared on the white-clothed swordsman's chest. Blood spurted out like a fountain. The saber contained the power of lightning, knocking the white-clothed swordsman back and sending him crashing to the ground. Who? The blue-clothed swordsman at the side reacted quickly. He swung his spear, and a fire dragon condensed on the spear, circling it and roaring ferociously. The blue-clothed swordsman wanted to stop Xiao Chen and make him give up on chasing the injured white-clothed swordsman. Bang! The spear roared, and the fire dragon immediately swallowed up Xiao Chen's figure. The blue-clothed swordsman rejoiced in his heart. I thought you are very powerful, but you are only a so-so. However, before the blue-clothed swordsman could smile, he saw the figure that the spear struck shatter. However, it was only an afterimage. Blue Dragon swings its tail, seeing the cool breeze, not the saber. Shao Qin had already leaped out from the side. He moved in a purple arc, and a cool breeze blew. In an instant, he passed through the crowd and headed for the white-clothed swordsman. The white-clothed swordsman was startled. He spun the sword in his hand and fired it at Shao Qin, who was flying through the air. Shao Qin clenched his left hand into a fist and circulated the dragon and tiger body sculpting art at the same time. All the bones in his body crackled as he punched, causing the air to tremble. Bang! The tip of the fist struck the tip of the sword, and the sword immediately shattered into countless pieces. Shao Chen's essence trembled, and the shattered pieces scattered in all directions. Shao Chen's momentum did not decrease. Just as he was about to get close to the white-clothed swordsman, the lunar shadow saber in his hand disappeared. He withdrew his killing chi, making it hard for others to grasp it. When the cool breeze blew, the white-clothed swordsman's heart turned ashen. He knew that this was the famous secret technique of the Heavenly Saber Pavilion, the clear wind chop. Once it got close, there was no way to dodge it. Furthermore, the white-clothed swordsman was severely injured. His body was not at its peak, there was no way he could dodge. Furthermore, the others were all dodging. No one would be able to help Shao Chen with the chaotic saber attacks he just created. Even if I die, I will drag you down with me. The white-clothed swordsman revealed a ferocious expression as he roared. The dantian in his body glowed faintly, he was going to use a secret technique to self-destruct. Shao Chen's expression did not change. He increased his speed and arrived before the white-clothed swordsman in a flash. When the light was at its brightest, the lunar shadow saber appeared from nowhere and stabbed into the white-clothed swordsman's dantian. The lunar shadow saber appeared from nowhere and stabbed into Shao Chen's dantian. Shao Chen did not stop moving, he quickly kicked this person away. Bang! That swordsman's corpse exploded in midair. Instantly, not even his bones remained. Only a rain of blood remained, filling the sky. The white-clothed swordsman was actually not weak. Under normal circumstances, if Shao Chen wanted to kill him, he would need at least 100 moves before he could do so. Unfortunately, the white-clothed swordsman was too careless at the start. He did not expect Shao Chen to suddenly make a move. He also did not expect Shao Chen's attack to be so ferocious. He was caught off guard and was severely injured. After that, there was no longer any suspense. After the white-clothed swordsman died, some of the cultivators fighting with Lu Suifeng immediately fled. These were the white-clothed swordsman's subordinates. Since the white-clothed swordsman was already dead, there was no need for them to remain here. Only the blue-clothed spearman and his 8 subordinates remained. The white-clothed swordsman's death caused the blue-clothed swordsman to panic. He no longer had the drive he had at the start. The blue-clothed swordsman knew that this person was not an ordinary inferior-grade martial saint. There was definitely something extraordinary about him. In terms of pure combat prowess, he was already comparable to a superior-grade martial saint. The blue-clothed swordsman's aura had already fallen. If he wanted to reform it, he would have to spend some effort. Using an aura that had fallen to rock bottom to resist the other party's soaring aura was clearly not a wise move. Retreat! The blue-clothed spearman shouted decisively. He stared at Shao Chen and kept his guard up as he leaped backward continuously. This person was very experienced in combat. He was also very cautious. When he retreated, he did not reveal his back. After the blue-clothed swordsman was far away and was certain that Shao Chen would not chase after him, he immediately turned around and increased his speed. After a while, he disappeared from Shao Chen's sight. Lu Suifeng, who was at the side, felt it was strange. Given Shao Chen's character, he would not let the blue-clothed swordsman off so easily. Shao Chen stood where he was and muttered to himself in silence. The blue-clothed swordsman had left for a long time already. However, Shao Chen did not move at all. His aura did not relax at all, he maintained his guard at all times. When Xiao Qian made a move to kill the white-clothed swordsman, he felt a horrifying killing chi coming from the sky. In that instant, he even felt the danger of death. Furthermore, this aura was very well hidden. When Xiao Qian caught it, it immediately disappeared and everything returned to normal. Xiao Qian extended his spiritual sense out in all directions. However, he did not catch anything in his mind. However, the more it was like this, the more cautious Xiao Qian became. He did not dare to relax his aura. Lu Suifeng felt that something was wrong. He asked in a soft voice, "Yi Qian, what's wrong?" Xiao Qian looked at a certain cloud in the sky and said, "Along the way, I felt a pair of eyes staring at us. Just now, I finally confirmed that he wants to kill me. This person is at least a peak superior grade martial saint. Furthermore, he knows a flying martial technique. The worst case scenario is that he is a martial king." Lu Suifeng was horrified. He revealed a worried expression as he asked, "What should we do?" Chapter 267. Xiao Qian sheathed his saber and smiled faintly. "It's fine, there is no need to worry too much. If this person's strength was really horrifying, he would not have followed us for so long. Earlier, he gave up on making a move. He lost the chance to kill me forever. This person is overly cautious. He lacks the sharpness of a cultivator. He will forever be a second-rate expert." Up in the clouds, Yu Mingshan was originally preparing to make a move. However, at the last moment, he suddenly discovered that Xiao Qian had already sensed his killing chi. Based on the principle of being cautious, a killing move that the opponent had already sensed would not be considered a killing move. This had always been Yu Mingshan's principle. This was also something he had learned as a lone cultivator. He had lived for a long time. There were many opportunities, so he could not attack blindly. Seeing Xiao Qian and Lu Suifeng leave, Yu Mingshan said indifferently, "Looks like I have to hide my killing chi even deeper next time. I have to kill him in one move and not leave behind any hidden dangers." When the sun had completely set, Xiao Qian and Lu Suifeng finally arrived at the port of the Black Dragon River. The port was brightly lit, illuminating the shore like it was daytime. Huge merchant ships appeared in Xiao Qian's vision. This was an eye-opener for Xiao Qian. Most of the ships were 40 to 50 meters tall and 5 to 600 meters long. They were no different from the super tankers in his previous life. When Lu Suifeng saw that Xiao Qian was astonished, he explained, "There are many water monsters in the Black Dragon River. Furthermore, the waves are very strong. A regular medium-sized merchant ship would not be able to withstand even a single wave. Furthermore, many of these merchant ships are going out to sea. The situation on the surface of the sea is even more complicated. If the ship is not made larger, it would not be able to withstand even a normal wave. Not to mention the sea monsters. So that's how it is." The doubts in Xiao Qian's heart cleared up. The two of them found the person in charge of a merchant ship and stated their intentions. Then, they paid 10,000 gold taels each and obtained the right to board the ship. The two of them rode their dragon blood horses to the bow of the ship. The deck was very wide, so it did not seem crowded at all. Immediately, a waiter from the merchant ship came over and took their dragon blood horses away. Although the ship was large, horses were not allowed on the ship. The deck was filled with cultivators preparing to hitch a ride on the ship. There were probably many of them who were going to Shiha City to participate in the auction. Xiao Qian stood at the bow of the boat and gently leaned on the railing. A cool breeze blew across the river. The breeze contained a refreshing smell of the river water, making people feel much better. Xiao Qian gazed at the vast dark surface. The night did not affect his vision at all. He could clearly see the scene on the surface of the river. The width of the Black Dragon River was much wider than he had imagined. These huge merchant ships were like black dots on the dark surface, not even taking up 1% of the river. At first glance, if it wasn't for the color of the river, one would have mistaken it for the sea. Lu Suifeng walked forward and said, Yi Chen, the ship will depart tomorrow morning. There are no more empty rooms on the ship. We will have to spend the next 3 days on the deck. The merchant ship was different from the passenger ship. Most of the space on the ship was filled with goods. Furthermore, the two of them arrived late. It was not strange that they did not have any empty rooms. Xiaochen smiled faintly, it's nothing much. I have already spent so many days on the savannah. It is just 3 days on the deck. After finding an empty space, Xiaochen sat down cross-legged and entered into a state of cultivation. However, there were many people here. If he cultivated the Purple Thunder Divine Incantation, it would cause a huge commotion. Xiaochen did not want to attract too much attention. The dragon and tiger body sculpting art slowly circulated. Xiaochen was prepared to cultivate this cultivation technique that was specially used for tempering the body. The many cultivators on the deck were all cultivating. Very few of them spoke, the river was very quiet. Early the next morning, the light of dawn broke through the last traces of darkness and shone on the deck. The cultivators slowly woke up. Xiaochen also opened his eyes. The instant he got up, the bones in his body gave off a pai li pa pa sound. He felt very comfortable and energetic. The dragon and tiger body sculpting art only had a total of 5 layers. The first 2 layers were the foundation. The last 3 layers were the true tempering of the body. Xiaochen had already practiced the 4th layer, Dragon Roar, Tiger Roar, piercing the heavens. He was currently heading towards great perfection. If he practiced it to great perfection, a casual roar from Xiaochen would be equivalent to the roar of a dragon or tiger. The drawn-out energy would be able to pierce through the 9 heavens and scatter the clouds in the sky. As for the 5th layer, Dragon Tendon Tiger Bone, pulling mountains and rivers' strength, it would be a true rebirth. Ordinary weapons would no longer be able to injure Xiaochen. Furthermore, his qi and blood would increase rapidly. His strength could reach more than 10,000 kilograms of force. The crisp sound of bones attracted the attention of the surrounding cultivators. In that instant, everyone seemed to see an indistinct dragon and tiger hidden in Xiaochen's body. It is rare to see a cultivator who specializes in tempering the body. The strength of the physical body is still a lower level. After one becomes a martial king, the might of essence becomes incomparably horrifying. A casual punch can split mountains. Tempering the body is just a waste of time. Indeed, in the martial saint realm, a strong physical body might give one an advantage in the early stages. However, in the later stages, the quality of one's essence is the most important. If he wanted to use his physical body alone, he would be a good seedling. Unfortunately, he is cultivating both. Sooner or later, he will not be able to take care of both. In the end, his cultivation will only stagnate. When many cultivators saw Xiaochen's strong physical body, they all sighed. Their words were filled with pity. Xiaochen smiled faintly and ignored them. He believed that he was on the right path. This was especially so after he saw the secret manual left behind by the previous pavilion master in the underground world. His conviction grew even stronger. If one cultivated both the physical body and essence at the same time, one's cultivation would indeed be slower than others. Perhaps Xiaochen would enter the martial sage realm much later than others of the same generation. However, without a strong physical body, it would be impossible for a martial sage to enter the Emperor Wu realm. Or rather, the possibility was very small. At that time, he would surpass everyone else. When Xiaochen walked to the bow of the ship, he did not know when the huge merchant ship had set off. The ship broke through the huge waves on the river surface as it moved quickly. Xiaochen was somewhat astonished. He did not expect such a huge ship to be able to move so fast on the water. He did not know what kind of propulsion it used. Lu Suifeng walked over to Xiaochen's side and asked, Yi Chen, do you think that expert is still watching us? Shao Chen looked up at the sky and said, I'm not sure. This person hides very well. I cannot feel his aura. However, my intuition tells me that he is still above us. There is a sea monster in front. Just as the two of them spoke, someone on the deck suddenly exclaimed. Shao Chen and Lu Suifeng quickly rushed over. They saw a huge whirlpool appear on the water a kilometer in front. After a while, a 200-meter-tall waterspout formed on the water surface and quickly headed for the merchant ship. Hu Qi! Hu Qi! The surface of the water started to ripple continuously. The boat also shook a few times. Shao Chen extended his spiritual sense and saw a huge, strange black fish at the end of the boat. Lu Suifeng asked suspiciously, what is that? Someone at the side replied, that is a black tuna whale, a peak rank 6 spirit beast. It is considered a tyrant of this black dragon river. It comes up a few times every year. The merchant ships that meet it do not have a good ending. How unlucky, we actually met it. When the cultivators on the deck heard the name of the strange fish, they started to panic. Seeing the waterspout getting closer, many cultivators made a prompt decision and jumped off the ship. They executed their movement techniques and pushed off the water surface, rushing back. When Lu Suifeng saw the other cultivators jumping off the ship, he asked, Yi Chen, are we going to jump off the ship? Shao Chen looked around and discovered that the people jumping off the ship were the younger cultivators. Although the older cultivators had panic on their faces, no one thought of jumping off the ship. They even looked at the people jumping off the ship as if they were watching a joke. Shao Chen shook his head and said, let's wait and see first. There is no rush. The older, the wiser. Since most of the old men on the deck did not choose to jump off the ship, there had to be a reason that the two of them did not know. They decided to wait and see first. Pu Ci. Pu Ci. Suddenly, miserable cries came from the river. Shao Chen and Lu Suifeng turned their heads to take a look. They saw the cultivators leaping on the water surface being attacked by the strange fish. They screamed miserably as they fell into the water. When they fell into the water, countless strange fish immediately swarmed over. There was a series of ka ca sounds. After a while, only a pile of bones was left. Fresh blood dyed the black surface crimson, attracting even more strange fish. The teeth of the strange fish were incredibly sharp. The essence barriers of the cultivators could not block them. Their bodies were also very tough. When weapons hacked on them, they could not kill them. Not long after, the cultivators who abandoned the ship were all killed by the strange fish. Only a few cultivators with outstanding movement techniques managed to board the merchant ship and were lucky enough to survive. From then on, no more cultivators dared to jump off the ship blindly. With a living example in front of them, no one would be so foolish. A bunch of fools. They are not even martial kings, yet they dare to cross the Black Dragon River. How reckless, someone mocked. However, when they saw the approaching waterspout and the surging waves, the crowd did not show any expressions of schadenfreude. Hu Qi. Suddenly, 2 surging sword chi flew out from the bow of the ship. They were 100 meters long. Everywhere they went, they kicked up huge waves on the water, heading for the waterspout. Someone said joyfully, the guards of the merchant ship made a move. Based on the might of the sword chi, they should be peak superior grade martial saints. A peak rank 6 spirit beast is only as strong as an inferior grade martial king. If there are 2 peak martial saints and we add in some strength, we might be able to avoid this calamity. Normally, a large merchant ship would have strong cultivators guarding it. A high-ranked merchant association would even have martial kings guarding it. However, there were too few martial kings. If it was not a merchant ship of an inherited clan or the royal court, it would be difficult to hire a martial king to guard it. There were over 100 million cultivators in the Great Qin nation. However, only 10,000 of them could become martial kings. Furthermore, these 10,000 people would be divided among the noble clans, sects, and the royal court. Thus, a regular merchant association would only be able to invite peak martial saints to help them. Chapter 268. This merchant ship was able to hire 2 peak martial saint guards. It was already very strong. Bang! 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 2 surging sword chi struck the waterspout and gave off a loud sound. Huge waves surged on the surface of the water. The merchant ship shook a few times before it slowly came to a stop. Under the attack of the sword chi, the 200-meter-tall waterspout weakened significantly in might and speed. However, it did not disappear completely. It continued to surge towards the merchant ship. When Xiaoqin saw the waterspout getting closer, he quickly thought for a while. Finally, he decided to make a move. Firstly, he wanted to test the strength of his physical body. Secondly, he wanted to save himself. After making up his mind, Xiaoqin pushed off the deck and created a purple arc as he headed for the waterspout. Xiaoqian's bones crackled as he circulated the dragon and tiger body sculpting art. His body gave off a faint golden glow and a golden tiger image spun around him. Ferocious tiger leaving the mountains. Xiaoqin shouted, it was like the roar of a tiger. His aura was suddenly raised to its peak state. The image of the ferocious tiger entered his fist and struck the towering waterspout. Bang! The incomparably surging waterspout was stopped for an instant by this punch. The huge rebound caused Xiaoqin to fly back 10 meters. Again. Xiaoqin laughed loudly. The instant he landed on the water, he immediately bounced back up. Xiaoqin continued to punch the waterspout, sending punch after punch at it. As Xiaoqin punched the waterspout, waves surged on the surrounding river. There was a loud rumbling sound as the river water surged in the air. The torrential rain poured down continuously. Xiaoqian's clothes were completely soaked. However, he had a delighted expression on his face. Before everyone's astonished gazes, the waterspout sent out by the black tuna whale was stopped by Xiaoqian's fists. It was unable to move forward on the water surface and slowly disappeared. The waterspout turned into rain that filled the sky and landed on the deck. Hu Qi! Hu Qi! When the surface of the river finally calmed down, countless strange fish leaped out. They flew towards Xiaoqian and opened their mouths. Their sharp teeth flickered with a cold light under the sunlight. Pa! Xiaoqian punched and the strange fish that crashed into him immediately turned into a pool of blood. It fell into the river, dead beyond death. The strange fish that the weapons of the cultivators could not easily kill was killed by Xiaoqian with one punch. A cultivator on the deck said in astonishment, "What a strong physical body. To think I misjudged him. Just based on the strength of his physical body, he has the combat prowess of a peak inferior martial saint. I wonder what his martial techniques and essence cultivation are like. If they are as strong as him, in terms of pure combat prowess, a regular superior grade martial saint would not be a match for him. Only a peak martial saint would be a match for him. That is only a slight advantage for now. When he becomes a martial king, if he does not give up on tempering his physical body, he will never have the chance to raise his cultivation." The cultivators on the deck discussed the strength that Xiaoqian displayed. They did not expect Xiaoqian's physical body to be so strong. The old men who sent out 2 strands of sword chi jumped off the merchant ship. They each sent out another strand of sword chi and cleaned up the strange fish in the air. The surrounding strange fish no longer dared to come out of the water, they all fled far away. Xiaoqian noticed that the sword chi that the 2 old men sent out was very sharp. It was much more condensed than a regular sword chi. It was clear that they had put in a lot of effort. Xiaoqian had once heard of people who had no hope of advancing to martial king. They would study their martial techniques and sword chi to their limits to raise their combat prowess. Although such people could not advance to martial king, a regular inferior grade martial king would not dare to let their guard down when they met them. It looked like this was the case for these two old men. The might of their sword chi had probably already reached the limits of what a martial saint could unleash. "Little brother, are you interested in killing this black tuna whale with us? Our merchant association will reward you greatly," one of the old men suggested to Xiaochen. The other old man also said, "Actually, the strength of this black tuna whale can barely be considered a peak martial saint. However, when it is underwater, its combat prowess will soar. That is why people call it a peak rank 6 spirit beast." Xiaochen thought so as well. There was a huge difference in strength between a rank 6 spirit beast and a rank 6 demonic beast. This black tuna whale might not be stronger than the rank 6 scarlet demonic snake that Xiaochen dealt with in the past. Back then, Xiaochen could kill the scarlet demonic snake with Yunkursen and the others. Now that he was working with two peak superior grade martial saints, he might be able to kill this black tuna whale. Xiaochen nodded and said, "Sure." When the two old men saw Xiaochen nod in agreement, they immediately revealed gratified smiles on their faces. They had personally witnessed Xiaochen's strength earlier. With his help, they would be more confident in dealing with the black tuna whale. The three of them stepped on the water and executed their movement technique. They started to rush towards the black tuna whale in front. When they got closer, Xiaochen could clearly see the appearance of the black tuna whale. The part that floated above the water was more than 100 meters long. There were rows of black bone spikes protruding from its back. Before the three of them got close, a huge whirlpool appeared on the water below them. A huge suction instantly sucked the three of them to the bottom. The force of the whirlpool was very strong. The three of them were unable to struggle at all. In an instant, they were sucked to the bottom and their bodies started to spin continuously. Caught off guard, Xiaochen drank a few mouthfuls of water and closed his eyes. He did his best to maintain his calm. The essence in his body slowly circulated, allowing his body to adapt to the direction of the whirlpool. The other two old men were much more experienced and knowledgeable than Xiaochen. When they encountered such a situation, they did not panic at all. Xiaochen circulated his essence and breathed internally, looking for an opportunity to escape. Suddenly, Xiaochen felt a dangerous aura. He opened his eyes and saw a huge mouth opening up. The whirlpool was currently pulling the three of them towards the huge mouth. As long as the mouth closed up, the black tuna whale would be able to swallow the three of them. Lone peak kill. Xiaochen shouted in his heart and brandished his saber. An image of a mountain appeared above Xiaochen's head. In the next instant, it merged into Xiaochen's body. Immediately, Xiaochen's figure seemed to have turned into a mountain. It became extremely heavy and instantly broke through the pull of the whirlpool. His body quickly fell to the bottom of the river. Bang! When Xiaochen's feet landed on the bottom of the river, there was an intense force spreading out in the water. There was a temporary emptiness around Xiaochen, all the river water was pushed out. The whirlpool that the black tuna whale created was instantly destroyed. The two old men immediately broke free. They each sent out a sword chi at the black tuna whale. The sharp sword chi tore through the obstruction of the river water like an arrow. With a shwa sound, it left 2 wounds on the back of the black tuna whale. The sword chi did not stop there. It pushed away the river water in front of it and shot towards the surface of the water. The area 1 meter around Xiaochen was now empty. He took a deep breath of air. Pushing off the ground, Xiaochen entered the water again and swam towards the black tuna whale. If Xiaochen continued to stand where he was, when the water surface closed up, the force that was pushing the river water would strike him several times over. Even if Xiaochen's physical body was strong, he would not be able to endure it. On the calm surface of the river, pillars of water shot up into the sky from time to time. The huge merchant ship kept rocking on the surface of the water. The crowd couldn't see what was going on under the water. They could only watch the intense battle anxiously, not knowing what to do. Suddenly, blood appeared on the clear river water. The crowd exclaimed, "So much blood! I wonder who it belongs to. This black tuna whale is not stupid. From the start, it dragged the three of them to the bottom of the river to fight. Fighting in the water is disadvantageous to the three of them. Indeed, in terms of strength, 3 peak martial saints against a peak rank 6 spirit beast should have a 50-50 chance of victory. However, now that they are underwater, their chances of victory are only 40%. How about we go down and help? If they die, the black tuna whale will definitely not let us off. Sure, you go down first. I'll go down soon. Why not you go down first? Call me down. Let's go down together. The crowd argued about wanting to go down and help. However, after arguing for a long time, no one dared to go down. These people were only ordinary inferior grade martial saints. Many of them were only peak martial grand masters. They did not have the courage to go down. Most of them wanted both sides to injure each other. That would be the best result for them. Since they did not need to make a move and the danger was over, they were all watching. Within the crowd, Lu Suifeng had an anxious expression. However, he was afraid that if he went down, he would bring trouble to Xiaochen. He could only hesitate. Bang! 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 Suddenly, there were 3 loud sounds on the surface of the water. It was Xiaochen and the other 2 breaking out of the water. A black dot in the distance was swimming forward quickly. Everywhere it passed, it left a trail of blood. Although the 3 of them had injured the black tuna whale, there was nothing they could do to stop it from escaping. They could only leave it at that. Many thanks for little friend's help, an old man said respectfully as he cupped his hands to Xiaochen. This was how the world of cultivators was. As long as one had the corresponding strength, regardless of age, the other party would treat you with respect. This person had already seen Xiaochen's strength in the water earlier. His tone was much more respectful than before. Xiaochen smiled faintly, it's just a small matter. I am just tempering my own martial techniques. The other old man smiled, haha, little friend is too polite. No matter what, you have helped our merchant association greatly. The ship owner will thank you later. After the 2 old men spoke, they leaped back onto the bow of the ship and informed the ship owner that the danger was over. They could set sail again. When Xiaochen saw the injured black tuna whale fleeing far away, he felt it was unfortunate. Actually, if he wanted to give chase now, Xiaochen was confident of catching up. However, if the other party sank to the bottom of the water, it would be troublesome for Xiaochen to deal with it alone. It would be a waste of time, and the gains would not make up for the losses. Chapter 269. Not long after, a waiter came over and brought Xiaochen and Lu Suifeng into the ship's hold. The master of the merchant ship politely took out 1,000 inferior grade spirit stones and handed them to Xiaochen. Then, he called for someone to arrange a room for the 2 of them. 1,000 inferior grade spirit stones. Xiaochen had no qualms about taking it. The effort he put in was definitely worth the price. After the captain left, Lu Suifeng sighed, yesterday, you told me that there were no empty rooms. Today, there are 2 rooms available. It looks like you need strength no matter where you go. Xiaochen smiled faintly and did not say anything. It was good that Lu Suifeng had such an understanding. After this trip, he would probably spend more time cultivating. The room in the ship's hold was no different from a regular inn's room. Xiaochen sat on the bed and entered into a state of cultivation. From the time they left the mountain until now, it had been almost 10 days. In these 10 days, Xiaochen had a battle almost every day and gained some benefits. He had gained a lot from the earlier battle underwater. He decided to take advantage of this opportunity to raise his cultivation to peak inferior grade martial saint. Then, he would try to break through to great perfection of the dragon and tiger body sculpting art's 4th layer. For the next 3 days, Xiaochen basically stayed in his room. During this time, Lu Suifeng asked him to go out for some fresh air, but he rejected him. At this crucial moment, Xiaoqin did not want to waste any time. He had to endure the loneliness. Tong! Tong! There was a knock on the door. Lu Suifeng said, "Yi Chen, we are about to reach the shore. I'll wait for you at the bow." Xiaoqin opened his eyes and a bright light flashed in them. Purple electricity flowed everywhere in the room as he thought about it. Xiaoqin stretched out his hand and all the electricity gathered in his right hand, forming a ball of burning electric flame. Then, he flicked it gently. A flower vase on the table exploded with a bang and turned into powder by the electric flame. The powder landed on the wooden table. Xiaoqin stood up and casually sent out a palm wind to scatter the powder. He said indifferently, "My cultivation has finally reached peak inferior grade martial saint. My control of the purple thunder true fire is getting better and better. However, I still need some time to reach great perfection of the dragon and tiger body sculpting art's 4th layer. It cannot be done in one go. I should be able to complete it after the auction is over." Xiaoqin pushed open the door and slowly walked to the bow of the ship. Soon, he found Lu Suifeng. When Lu Suifeng heard footsteps, he turned his head back and discovered that the feeling that Xiaoqin gave him had become stronger. He exclaimed in shock, "Yi Chen, your cultivation increased again." Xiaoqin nodded and said, "I have already reached peak inferior grade martial saint. It will be difficult for me to advance any further in a short period. After one became a martial saint, it would be incredibly difficult to advance by a grade. The difficulty of advancing from inferior grade martial saint to medial grade martial saint was similar to the difficulty of advancing by a grade." Lu Suifeng could not help but smack his lips. "I really wonder how you cultivate. This speed is too horrifying." Xiaoqin replied, "Aside from talent and cultivation techniques, there is also experiential training and bitter cultivation. Did you not notice that after coming out this time, your cultivation has actually improved? After that, you need to be able to endure loneliness. While others are immersed in their desires, you can make the best use of the time to cultivate. Naturally, your speed will be faster." Lu Suifeng felt slightly embarrassed. He knew that Xiaoqin was talking about him. He quickly changed the topic. "After we reach the port in front, we will reach Shihe City in half a day." Xiaoqin looked in the direction Lu Suifeng pointed. It was a bustling port. Occasionally, ships would enter and leave. The shore was much livelier than the previous port. There was an endless stream of people walking on it. The clamor reached Xiaoqin's ears even from a distance. Suddenly, Xiaoqin asked out of curiosity, "Where is the end of this Black Dragon River?" Lu Suifeng was no stranger to this. He explained, "Shihe province is already at the edge of the Great Qin nation. After the Black Dragon River passes through Shihe province, it will flow through the ancient desolate land. There are tributaries there that lead to other nations. Its final destination is the boundless sea in the west." The boundless sea. Xiaoqin's heart skipped a beat. Could the river on that map be the Black Dragon River? If the destination is the boundless sea, it is very similar. "We have arrived. Let's go and get the horses first." Lu Suifeng's voice interrupted Xiaoqin's thoughts. He could only give up on this idea for now. Xiaoqin led the dragon blood horse and slowly got off the bow. The two of them immediately mounted the horse and rushed towards Shihe City. After half a day of travel, the outline of a majestic city wall appeared in their vision. The city wall was 100 meters tall. It was so long that they could not see the end of it. Xiaoqin had seen the capital of Dongming province before. It was also as majestic as this. Thus, he did not have much experience. After he paid the entrance fee, he entered the city smoothly. The streets of Shihe City were incomparably wide. There were also special roads for carriages and sidewalks. Thus, although there were many people, it did not seem too crowded when the two of them rode on their horses. After asking around for the nearest inn, the two of them rushed over. After they tied up the horses outside, they walked in through the main doors. Liushang Pavilion. Xiao Chen looked at the signboard of the inn and smiled faintly. He did not expect there to be a branch of Liushang Pavilion here. It seemed like he still had a VIP card, there was an opportunity for him to use it. Perhaps it was because of the large-scale auction, the business of the inn was very good. The first floor was full, and the second floor was also full. There were even some people waiting in line. Lu Suifeng said somewhat helplessly, "It looks like we can only change to another inn. From the third floor of Liushang Pavilion, we need a VIP card." Xiao Chen smiled and said, "There's no need. Let's go to the third floor. I happen to have a VIP card for this inn." Xiao Chen took out his VIP card and showed it to the person standing guard on the third floor. After he took a look, that person immediately respectfully welcomed Xiao Chen and Lu Suifeng. His attitude was incomparably humble. This was because the VIP card that Xiao Chen took out was of the highest grade. It allowed them to go directly to the fifth floor of Liushang Pavilion. The people who could have such a VIP card had to have a high status. Lu Suifeng said in surprise, "It really is a VIP card of Liushang Pavilion. How did you get it? This thing is not easy to get." Xiao Chen smiled, "This inn was opened by that damn fatso. To him, a VIP card is just a small matter." However, the two of them seemed to have bad luck. There were still no empty tables on the third floor. Xiao Chen looked around and said, "Let's go to the fourth floor. I don't believe that it is so difficult to even eat a meal." After flashing the VIP card, the two of them went to the fourth floor. The fourth floor was different from the third floor, it was all individual booths. It was much quieter. After they called the waiter over, they finally received a reply. There was still an empty booth. "Hold on, I want this booth." Just as the waiter was about to bring Xiao Chen and Lu Suifeng over, a discordant voice came from behind them. Xiao Chen frowned slightly and turned around to take a look. It was a group of youths dressed in black. There were 5 of them, both male and female. There were 4 white snowflakes embroidered on the chest area of their clothes. This was the symbol of the Night Spirit Palace. Black represented the night, and snowflakes represented the cold. Only core disciples could embroider these 4 snowflakes. The person leading them had a grave and stern expression, he had an imposing appearance. He had a sword at his waist. When he saw the identity token on Xiao Chen and Lu Suifeng's waists, a look of disdain flashed in his eyes. When the waiter saw this person, his expression changed slightly. He said, "Young Master Shi, this is not good. We have already agreed to give them this booth." This person smiled faintly and walked forward. He did not even turn his head back as he said, "We have not entered yet, right? I will treat them to this meal. We will talk after we finish eating. Go and make some preparations." His tone was very indifferent, he treated Xiao Chen and Lu Suifeng like air, completely ignoring them. However, the waiter blocked in front of the man with the surname Shi. He said awkwardly, "Sorry, our Liushang Pavilion has our own rules. First come, first served is the basic rule. I hope young Master Shi does not make things difficult for us." A gloomy look flashed on Shi Feng's face. He did not expect that this waiter, who usually gave him face, would say such words at this moment. "Say that again. Do you believe that I can shut down Liushang Pavilion in Shihe City with just one word?" The waiter hesitated in his heart, he did not know what to do. The Shi Feng in front of him was the second son of the Shi clan, one of the 3 noble clans of the Shihe province. Each of the 3 noble clans was a huge power, especially the Shi clan. Coincidentally, their headquarters were in Shihe City. They had a lot of power in the area. If they offended the Shi clan, it would be hard for Liushang Pavilion to do business. However, on the other side, Xiao Chen and Lu Suifeng's status was not just for show. Liushang Pavilion had a limited number of VIP cards, they would not casually hand them out. If they offended them, it would be hard to explain. Senior brother Shi Feng, since there is such a rule, let's wait for a while, the pretty girl among the 5 said. One of the 5 followed up, Senior brother, sure, I think we should go to another place. There is no need to make things difficult for a waiter. On the surface, it looked like he was advising Shifeng, but in reality, he was saying that Shifeng was not magnanimous and only dared to make things difficult for a waiter. Shifeng glared at this person fiercely, a trace of anger flashed in his eyes. However, he could not say anything in front of the girl. He turned around and smiled at the girl, Junior Sister Mu, don't worry. My Shi clan is still able to handle this matter in Shiha City. Don't you think so, waiter? Aside from participating in the auction, one of the main reasons he came down the mountain was because of the girl in front of him, Mu Yanxue. Mu Yanxue was the most beloved daughter of the Night Spirit Palace's second palace master. He had pursued her in the Night Spirit Palace. Be it in terms of appearance, temperament, or status, she was the ideal candidate for him. The most important thing was that if he married this girl, his position in the clan would be even more stable. In the future, when he fought for the position of clan head, he would have an additional bargaining chip. If he could not even secure a small table in his own territory, he would lose a lot of face. Seeing Shifeng use the Shi clan's name to pressure him, the waiter immediately felt put on the spot. He could not help but look at Xiao Chen and Lu Suifeng, hoping that they would take a step back. Xiao Chen smiled helplessly to himself. He did not expect that even a meal would not be peaceful. Everywhere he went, he would run into idiots. The current Xiao Chen was no longer that reckless youth who had just left Mo City. He was much calmer now, he would not casually reveal the sharpness of a cultivator. Xiao Chen turned around and led Lu Suifeng to the 5th floor. Most people would not be able to go up to the 5th floor, so it should not be a problem to have a meal there. Chapter 270. Stop right there. Did I tell you to leave? I already said I would treat you to a meal as compensation for taking up your spot. Are the Heavenly Saber Pavilion's people not going to give me any face? When Shifeng saw Xiao Chen turn around to leave, he took 2 steps forward and said unforgiving words. The people of the 3 great sects of the Great Qin nation were not happy with each other. When they met, the smell of gunpowder would be very strong. This was especially so for the Heavenly Saber Pavilion and the Misty Sword sect. When the disciples of these 2 sects met, they would start fighting without saying a word. Of the 3 great sects, the Night Spirit Palace was ranked the lowest in terms of overall strength. If Xiao Chen could trample on these 2 Heavenly Saber Pavilion disciples, he would definitely be able to leave an impression in Mu Yanxue's heart. Shifeng thought to himself, the 2 of them are only inferior grade martial saints. Furthermore, this is Shiha City. I am confident I can defeat them. Xiao Chen stopped walking and a murderous intent flashed in his eyes. Just because he withdrew his sharpness did not mean he did not have it. Just because he was low-key did not mean he would allow others to bully him. Lu Suifeng said in a soft voice, Yi Chen, this person is Shifeng, the second son of the Shi clan, head of one of the 3 noble clans of the Shiha province. He has an inherited bloodline martial spirit and is a medial grade martial saint. He is a famous expert among the younger generation of the Shiha province. In a distant booth, a man and a woman wearing the Misty Sword sect's uniform were drinking wine and chatting. When the woman saw the person opposite her looking elsewhere, she could not help but feel it was strange. So, she looked over as well. When the woman saw the situation clearly, she revealed an astonished expression. She said softly, it's the people from the Heavenly Saber Pavilion and the Night Spirit Palace. The Heavenly Saber Pavilion's people are at a disadvantage. They are at a disadvantage in both numbers and strength. Senior brother Chu, do you recognize them? The man carried a sword on his back and his handsome face always had a calm expression. This was the person that Xiao Chen feared, Chu Chaoyun. Chu Chaoyun shook his head slightly and took a sip of wine. He said, he seems familiar. However, I can't remember where I saw him before. Let's take a look. Xiao Chen's temperament gave him a very familiar feeling, but looking at that ordinary face, Chu Chaoyun really couldn't remember where he had seen it before. Furthermore, Xiao Chen's martial spirit had already entered his body. He couldn't sense the aura of the blue dragon martial spirit, so his intuition told him that he should have seen this person before, but he didn't know who it was. When Shi Feng saw that Xiao Chen had stopped in his tracks, he revealed a complacent expression. He smiled and said, "You can stand there. Don't move before I finish eating. How much you want to eat will be on my tab. Junior sister, let's go." After Xiao Chen spoke, he turned around and led the four of them to the room. The person who was on good terms with Shi Feng smiled and said, "Senior brother Shi, I did not expect you to scare two Heavenly Saber Pavilion people into not daring to move with just a few words. You are really powerful." The complacent expression on Shi Feng's face became even denser. He casually glanced at Mu Yanxue and smiled faintly. They are just two inferior grade martial saints. Even without my Shi clan's name, I can easily defeat the two of them. There is nothing to fear. However, Mu Yanxue's expression did not change. She only forced a smile. She felt something was wrong in her heart, but she could not tell what it was. It is not that I am boasting, but there is no one in Shihe City who would not give face to the Shi clan. This time, you are here to participate in the auction. If there is anything you want, just tell me. My Shi clan will help you bid. Even a martial king would not dare to mess around. Shi Feng smiled as he walked. Hu Qi. Just at this moment, there was the sound of an intense wind coming from behind Shi Feng. A vast killing qi surged over. The aura was so strong that it caused the five of them to tremble. Shi Feng's reaction was the fastest. The instant he heard the sound of the wind, he instantly turned around. When he saw Xiao Chen's figure clearly, he did not panic. Instead, there was some excitement on his face. He smiled faintly. If you did not make a move, I would not be able to do anything to you. If you dare to make a move against me, you can forget about leaving this Liushang pavilion. Xiao Chen could not be bothered with Shi Feng. He increased his speed and circulated the dragon and tiger body sculpting art. Then, he punched at Shi Feng's face. Shi Feng mocked, "You actually dare to use your fists and legs in front of me? You are seeking death." After Shi Feng spoke, a spiraling azure-colored rock appeared under his feet. This was the Shi clan's inherited martial saint, the Qingtian stone. The rock turned into azure-colored lines and quickly extended towards his right hand. Finally, it formed a strange whirlpool on his palm. Shi Feng clenched his fist and the whirlpool immediately disappeared. It merged with every inch of his palm and carried a horrifying force as it smashed towards Xiao Chen's fist. Bang! When the two fists collided, there was an intense explosion in the quiet fourth floor. A horrifying shockwave spread out and smashed some of the surrounding tables into pieces. Shi Feng's body flew backwards. The rock on his arm started to explode from his fist to his shoulder, turning into a pile of stone fragments that fell to the ground. Xiao Chen's body did not move at all. His aura surged and the bones in his body started to crackle. The image of a tiger and dragon intertwined. Xiao Chen shouted and pushed off the ground. He did not hesitate to chase after Shi Feng. How can this be? Shi Feng actually lost to this person in a fists and legs competition, a Night Spirit Palace disciple said in disbelief. The Shi clan's inherited martial spirit can increase the strength of a cultivator's physical body by 50%. Its defense and strength will be greatly increased. How could he lose so thoroughly? Mu Yanxue muttered to herself in silence. She knew that Shi Feng had kicked an iron plate this time. This is good as well. This will save me from doing some strange things in the future, Mu Yanxue thought to herself. Shi Feng was incomparably shocked. Since he started cultivating, this was the first time he suffered such a disadvantage in a fists and legs competition. So, Shi Feng's body sank to the ground. The instant his feet landed, the Qingtian stones wrapped around his feet and grabbed him firmly, preventing him from moving back. When Shifeng saw Shao Chen charging over with a ferocious momentum, a murderous intent flashed on his face. Shao Chen shouted and the Qingtian stones covered his entire body. The aura of his innate martial spirit spread out completely. All the cultivators on the fourth floor felt some pressure. Shao Chen clenched his fist and punched ferociously. The fist wind broke through the air and gave off a sharp sound. A huge Qingtian whirlpool formed in the air. Shifeng said coldly, "The force of this punch is 5,000 kilograms. Let's see how you break this." Scram! Bang! Shao Chen had a stern expression as he roared. It was like the roar of a dragon and a tiger, piercing through the sky. His entire body gave off a faint golden glow. The image of a tiger and a dragon quickly infused into his fist. Great Dragon Tiger Fist, Dragon Hisses Tiger Roars. With the dragon and tiger body sculpting art circulating at full force, the force of this punch was already the peak of what Shao Chen could deliver. The force of this punch reached 6,000 kilograms. Bang! When the two fists met, there was a loud sound. The Qingtian stones on Shifeng's body shattered. Under the shock wave, they turned into powder and drifted away in the wind. Pu Ci. Shifeng vomited a large mouthful of blood as his body flew backward like a sandbag. With a bang, he smashed through the wall of the fourth floor and fell heavily on the third floor. The sudden fall of Shifeng startled the customers on the third floor. They quickly got up and dodged. Some of the cultivators who recognized Shifeng were shocked. They did not know who was so bold as to attack the Shi clan in the Shiha province. Hu Qi. Shao Chen's body passed through the hole in the wall. His figure flashed in the air and he stomped on Shifeng's chest, pushing the struggling Shifeng back. Shifeng vomited another mouthful of blood and coughed a few times. He pointed at Shao Chen and said in horror, "Quickly let me go. Otherwise, you can forget about leaving Shiha City." Shao Chen smiled faintly and ignored him. He said in a deep voice, "You want to use my status as a Heavenly Saber Pavilion Corps disciple to give you face to chase girls? Unfortunately, you found the wrong target. In front of me, you are not even qualified for me to draw my saber." Right after Shao Chen spoke, he kicked Shifeng's waist violently. Shao Chen did not hold back in this kick. Shifeng, who could not resist at all, was kicked into the air and flew in an arc. He accurately passed through the window of the third floor and landed on the street. On the fourth floor of Liushang Pavilion, Chu Chaoyun looked at Shao Chen's back and smiled faintly. "So, it is him. I was wondering why I could not find him." So, he changed his appearance and ran to the Heavenly Saber Pavilion. The girl opposite asked out of curiosity, "Senior brother Chu, is that someone you know?" Chu Chaoyun stood up and smiled gently, "Old friend. This fellow will not have peace no matter where he goes. He is like a sharp treasured saber. Even if it is sheathed, the instant it is unsheathed, it will give off a terrifying light." When Mu Yanxue saw Shi Fei flying out of the window through a crack in the wall of the fourth floor, her expression changed. She quickly said, "Go down and stop him. If we let him go, it will be hard to explain to the Shi clan." The Shiha province had a close relationship with the three great clans and the various great sections. They were like allies. For example, the Yun clan had a close relationship with the Heavenly Saber Pavilion, the Yen clan had a close relationship with the Misty Sword sect, and the Shi clan had a close relationship with the Night Spirit Palace. Thus, Mu Yanxue could not just sit back and watch. After Shao Chen humiliated Shi Fei, he swaggered off. Otherwise, if the Shi clan really chased after him, she would not be able to explain to the Night Spirit Palace. The four of them drew their weapons and quickly jumped down from the crack in the wall. They each stood in a corner and surrounded Shao Chen. Lu Suifeng was about to jump down as well. However, he discovered that a hand had grabbed his shoulder at an unknown time. Lu Suifeng's expression changed as he turned his head to look. He exclaimed, Chu Chaoyun, why are you here? The top expert of the Misty Sword sect, the archenemy of the Heavenly Saber Pavilion, Lu Suifeng was very familiar with this person's appearance. However, what he usually saw was a portrait. This was the first time he saw the person in person. Chu Chaoyun smiled faintly, don't be nervous, nothing will happen to your friend. If you go down, you will only cause trouble for him. Chu Chaoyun's words were very soft, he did not release any aura or killing qi. However, it caused Lu Suifeng to feel a formless pressure, he did not dare to move. The customers on the third floor had already moved to the side. However, they did not go very far, they just watched the commotion on the second floor. So, it is the Heavenly Saber Pavilion's people fighting with the Night Spirit Palace's people. However, why is there only one bladesman from the Heavenly Saber Pavilion? It is dangerous to fight 1 against 4. Chapter 271. Who cares? As long as there is a show to watch, it is fine. The 3 great sects are not willing to submit to anyone. This is a good opportunity to see the strength of the Heavenly Saber Pavilion and the Night Spirit Palace. The person leading the Night Spirit Palace seems to be the daughter of the second palace master, Mu Yanxue. She is already a medial grade martial saint. Who is the person from the Heavenly Saber Pavilion? Do you know him? I don't know him. He should have just left the mountain recently. He is probably here to participate in the auction. Discussions rose up in the crowd. It was very lively, everyone was very excited. Mu Yanxue pointed her sword at Xiao Chen. She said in a melodious voice, this friend, can you stay here for a while? I do not wish to make a move. Xiao Chen smiled faintly. He did not withdraw his aura at all. He said mockingly, what are you staying here for? Waiting to die? If you want to keep me here, then show me what you are capable of. Mu Yanxue blushed slightly. She did not expect Xiao Chen to be so rude. She shouted coldly, in that case, let me see what you are capable of. Pu Ci. Right after the other party spoke, the 4 of them sent out a sword qi each. They tore through the air and flew at Xiao Chen. When Xiao Chen saw the sword qi flying at him, he shook his head. Although the sword qi of these 4 people were very powerful, they were not sharp enough. Compared to the 2 old men on the merchant ship, they were much weaker. Xiao Chen used his palm as a saber and brandished it left and right. He did not move at all. He executed the dragon and tiger body sculpting art to its limits. When the sword qi struck his arm, it gave off a melodious ding-dang sound. Xiao Chen used the strength of his physical body to block it. The 4 of them were startled. They did not expect Xiao Chen's physical body to be so strong. They quickly gave up on using their sword qi to attack. The swords in their hands released a blazing sword light as they hacked at Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen knew that these 4 people were not trying to kill him. They were just trying to delay him until the Wang clan experts arrived. I can no longer hide my strength. I have to end this quickly. Otherwise, when the Wang clan experts arrive, I will be in trouble. Even if I leave, it will be difficult for Lu Suifeng to do so. Xiao Chen flipped his palm and the lunar shadow saber immediately appeared in his left hand from the universe ring. Xiao Chen placed his right hand on the saber hilt and paused for a moment. A sharp light flashed in his eyes. Xiao Chen infused his state of thunder into his saber, raising his aura and state to their limits in a short time. In that instant, dark clouds churned in the sky above Liushang Pavilion. Muffled thunder roared incessantly, the might of thunder instantly formed. Rushing thunder saber art, drawing the saber. Xiao Chen shouted and unleashed the state of thunder with all his might. A clap of thunder resounded in the sky. In the next moment, everyone seemed to see a bolt of lightning leaping out of the scabbard. Bang! The 3 people in front of them felt their vision blur. A terrifying energy swept over them, and they were immediately sent flying back. Electric currents coursed through the meridians in his body, and the sword moves in his hands were immediately thrown into disarray. He was unable to execute them. Xiaoqin spun around and spun his saber around quickly. Even though he was the last to move, he arrived first and placed it on the neck of the person behind him. That person was caught off guard. The sword in his hand carried a blazing sword light as it hovered above Xiaoqian's head, not daring to move at all. Xiaoqin smiled gently and quickly sheathed his saber. He stepped forward and sent a palm strike at that person's chest. With a loud bang, he immediately sent that person flying. With no one blocking his way, Xiaoqin pushed off the ground and turned into a beam of purple light, flying towards the crack in the fourth floor. Everything happened in the time it took for a spark to fly. From the moment Xiaoqin summoned out the lunar shadow saber to the moment he made his move, it was only the blink of an eye. The situation immediately turned around. The speed was so fast that no one could react. Someone below exclaimed, "What is going on? Are the people of the Night Spirit Palace so weak?" Mu Yanxue suppressed the violent lightning-attributed essence in her body. When she heard this, she became slightly angry and shouted. It was unknown what movement technique Mu Yanxue used, but her speed increased explosively in a short time. She immediately blocked in front of Xiaoqin. Mu Yanxue looked at Xiaoqin and said coldly, "You are very fast. However, no one can be faster than me." A sword light flashed and pierced towards Xiaoqin at lightning speed. Xiaoqin quickly dodged. After that, he spun around and pushed off the wall. Then, he turned around and hacked at Mu Yanxue. Dang! The saber and sword clashed, giving off a melodious clang that reverberated in the hall. The moment the two clashed, they retreated. They were extremely decisive. They were so fast that everyone could only see after images. Two distinct figures in the air, one purple and one black, clashed continuously in the eyes of the crowd. The movement techniques of the two were very good. They flew around the top of the third floor, using the walls as a foothold. Unexpectedly, they did not land at all, it was like they were really flying. As the two exchanged moves, their speed was equal. Unexpectedly, they were evenly matched. Being evenly matched was not the result that Xiaoqin wanted. The longer this dragged on, the more disadvantageous it would be for him. Since the blue dragon cloud soaring art reached small perfection, Xiaoqin had not met anyone in the same generation who could match his speed. With the pure combat prowess of the Heavenly Saber Pavilion, they could easily destroy the Shi clan. Lu Suifeng smiled bitterly, "We really do not have any power in Shihe City. The royal court has very strict control over the three great cities in the nation. It is very difficult for the three great sects to infiltrate. In the city, aside from the city lord, who has the greatest power, the three noble clans have the greatest power. So, we are not in a good position to do anything." Xiaoqin glanced around and saw that Shi Feng, who had fallen to the ground earlier, had already gotten up and gone somewhere. Actually, with Lu Suifeng's identity as a core disciple of the Heavenly Saber Pavilion, the Shi clan would not dare to do anything to the two of them. They could only apologize and suffer some losses. Xiaoqian's expression changed as he said, "Never mind, let's leave the city first. The auction will start in 3 days. We will find an opportunity to come in and take a look." Lu Suifeng nodded. This was the only thing they could do. For now, they could not think of any better ideas. Dong! 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 Just as the two of them were about to leave, the sound of rushing horses came from the road in front. A group of cultivators wearing the Shi clan's uniform rushed over in an aggressive manner. Xiaoqin stopped and frowned slightly. He thought to himself, the Shi clan is extraordinarily fast. No wonder Shi Feng dares to be so arrogant in Shihe City. The leader of the group was an old man wearing tight cultivator robes. He dismounted from his horse and looked at the two with a sullen expression. The old man slowly walked forward. As he walked, his chi and blood flourished. His eyes were as sharp as sabers. Just by looking at his aura, one could tell that his cultivation was not low. The old man said to the two of them, "Which of you injured my clan's young master?" Before the two of them could speak, a young cultivator of the Shi clan pointed at Xiao Chen and said, "Fourth elder, it was the brat on the right who injured him." Many people in Liushang Pavilion saw it. Furthermore, he was the one who made the first move. A bright light flashed in the eyes of the Shi clan's fourth elder. It was like a sharp treasured saber staring at Xiao Chen. He said in a deep voice, "Can the people of the Heavenly Saber Pavilion bully my Shi clan as they wish? To think you dare to be so arrogant in Shiha City. I'll give you an explanation. If you can't explain it clearly, I will teach you how to behave on behalf of your teacher." Lu Suifeng quickly said, "Senior, we did not mean to injure the Shi clan's young master on purpose. He was the one who humiliated us first. We only..." Xiao Chen raised his arm slightly, stopping Lu Suifeng from continuing. His gaze was as calm as still water. He met the old man's gaze without any fear. "There is no need to explain too much. It is just that our skills are not up to par. There is no need to say so much." Chapter 272. In the end, the other party acted as though they were wronged. They wanted the two of them to explain themselves. If they could not explain themselves, they would teach them a lesson. This was simply the logic of a bandit. It was inhumane and unreasonable. However, in this world, Xiao Chen no longer held any hope of using reason to resolve things. In this world where human lives were as cheap as ants, the one with the strongest fist was the true reason. Right now, the Shi clan's fist was harder. The other party was right. The surrounding cultivators who witnessed the incident remained silent. No one spoke up for Xiao Chen. This was a typical example. Xiao Chen's expression was incomparably calm. He enunciated every word clearly. "I was the one who injured Shi Feng. If you want to make a move, then cut the crap. As long as you are not afraid of bringing a calamity upon your Shi clan, come and fight." In this world, it was easy for a cultivator to live. However, there were not many who could live with dignity. Xiao Chen had always believed that a cultivator did not have to reveal their sharpness. However, they had to have a spirit. No matter what, this spirit could not be lost. One could not be arrogant, but one had to have a lofty character. This was the principle behind it. If Xiao Chen had sullenly explained and apologized, the other party would not dare to do anything to them because of the Heavenly Saber Pavilion's position. However, this way, once there was a compromise, there would be a second compromise. In the end, the spirit of a cultivator would be completely gone. If a cultivator lost their spirit, no matter how talented they were, they would not have the chance to reach the peak of cultivation in the future. At this moment, Xiao Chen did not hide his sharpness. His aura flourished and his killing intent was revealed. He was like a treasured saber drawn from its scabbard. The treasured saber was incomparably sharp. It pierced through the air, frightening people. The boundless clouds in the sky suddenly gathered and churned. Muffled rumbles came from within. The momentum of the lightning had been formed. What's going on? Why did the sky turn so dark? The surrounding cultivators suddenly discovered that the dark clouds above their heads had already covered the dazzling sunlight. The sky suddenly turned dark. This is the state of thunder. I did not expect this brat to comprehend it to such a high level at such a young age. He can already affect the power of thunder. This is the sign of a state reaching small perfection. I once saw it on an inferior grade martial king. Without a certain level of comprehension, normal people would not be able to comprehend it in their lifetime. However, a small perfection state of thunder is not a match for the Shi clan's fourth elder. This old man was already a peak martial saint many years ago. Although he was not a martial king yet, there were few who were a match for him within the martial saint realm. When the Shi clan's fourth elder saw Xiao Chen's aura, he could not stop. In the confrontation between the younger generation of the various major forces, the older generation tacitly chose to remain silent. As long as no one was killed, they wouldn't take action. Originally, the upper echelon of the Shi clan did not intend to make a move. However, they heard that Shi Feng had been thrown into the streets by the Heavenly Saber Pavilion's people. As one of the three noble clans, the Shi clan's clan head felt embarrassed. If news of this spread, the Shi clan's reputation in Shiha city would be tarnished. This was why the Shi clan's fourth elder brought people to settle this matter. As long as the other party was willing to apologize and admit his mistake, they would let this matter go. However, the Shi clan head did not expect Xiao Chen to be so unyielding. He did not even bother to explain himself. At this moment, in front of everyone, the Shi clan head was stuck between a rock and a hard place. He did not know what to do. After a while, the Shi clan head knew that if he retreated now, he would not be able to face anyone. He made up his mind and said coldly, "You are just an insignificant junior and you dare to be so arrogant. I will teach you a lesson today." The Shi clan head flipped his hand and drew his sword. He sent out a sharp sword chi at Xiao Chen. This sword chi was much sharper than a regular sword chi. It silently tore through the water like air. A clap of thunder resounded in the sky. Xiao Chen sent out a similar chi. A purple saber chi moved like lightning and clashed with the sword chi that the Shi clan had sent out. Dang! The sword chi and saber chi did not give way to each other. They clashed intensely in the air. The state of thunder that Xiao Chen infused into the saber chi flickered with resplendent electricity, giving off a zzz sound. Relying on the advantage of the state, Xiao Chen's saber chi managed to fight to a draw with the extremely dense sword chi of the Shi clan head. The Shi clan head was mildly startled. He smiled faintly and said, "Without a state to great perfection, it is just an unorthodox method. I will take you down in 10 moves." After the Shi clan head spoke, he took a big step forward and swung his sword upwards. Sharp stone spikes immediately shot out from the ground and headed for Xiao Chen. Each stone spike was about 2 meters long and incredibly sharp. If one was struck by it, even if they were not severely injured, they would at least be skinned alive. The speed at which the stone spikes extended was very fast. In the blink of an eye, they arrived before Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen gauged the height of the stone spikes. They were only 2 meters long. Although they extended for a long distance, as long as he used the blue dragon cloud soaring art, he would be able to leap over them easily. Xiao Chen pushed off the ground and leaped into the air. He scattered the state of thunder and launched himself at the Shi clan head's fourth elder. Seeing Xiao Chen in the air, the fourth elder revealed a pleased smile. He said, "I knew you would fly into the air and not choose to retreat. Pu ci. Pu ci." The moment the fourth elder spoke, the stone spikes on the ground shot up and gave off ear-piercing roars. They shot at Xiao Chen. Their speed was actually close to the speed of sound. Xiao Chen was startled. He had not expected such a change. Without much time to think, he shouted and the image of a mountain peak appeared above his head, infusing into his saber. Lone Peak Kill. When Xiao Chen chopped down, a spiraling force appeared in the air. It was like a real mountain descending from the sky with a heavy force. Bang! 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 A loud sound rang out. The stone pillars in the air were all shattered by the force of this saber. Stone fragments danced in the air and fell to the ground like rain. The figure of a saber pierced through the rain of stones. Everywhere he passed, he crushed all the stones into dust, filling the air with dust. Xiao Chen's gaze was like lightning. Looking at the dust filling the air, he stabbed out with the lunar shadow saber at lightning speed. Dang! It was like he struck a hard rock. The force of the saber that Xiao Chen stabbed out was deflected. He immediately lost his balance in the air and quickly fell to the ground. Elder Shi's voice came from within the dust. He sneered, my inherited martial spirit has already reached the large success realm. With your half-baked state of thunder, you want to break through my defense? That is simply a pipe dream. Rock-splitting arrow. The fourth elder roared angrily. Countless azure rock patterns appeared on his sword. In the next moment, all the patterns gathered at the tip of the sword. There was an explosive sound and a huge azure whirlpool appeared at the tip of the sword. From the center of the whirlpool, a sharp arrow made of azure rock flew out. It flew rapidly towards Xiao Chen. Chi! 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 As the arrow pierced through the air, it gave off a piercing sonic boom. Ripples appeared in the air from the explosion. It was like countless waves appearing on a calm surface of water. Xiao Chen slowly landed. When he saw the azure arrow flying at him, his expression remained calm. Everlasting startling cloud. Circulating the essence in his body, Xiao Chen executed the state of clouds. After a while, there were large patches of clouds floating around Xiao Chen. Boom! A clap of thunder resounded in the clouds. A tiny strand of purple saber chi split apart the layers of clouds like lightning. It quickly flew towards the azure arrow. In a flash, it was like a ray of multicolored light flying by. It was so fast that it created an illusion. In the next moment, it was as if nothing had happened. The azure arrow that the Shi clan's fourth elder fired was still giving off a piercing sonic boom in the air. It flew towards Xiao Chen. Soon, it would catch up to Xiao Chen, who was about to land. The fourth elder snorted coldly, I thought you were a powerful person. It turns out you are only a so-so. Even if you kill him, the heavenly saber pavilion will not stand up for you. Seeing the azure arrow getting closer, all the cultivators present felt their hearts in their throats. They all felt that it was a pity. At this moment, Xiao Chen no longer had any room to change his direction. He could only passively receive this attack. This was the full-powered attack of a peak martial saint. Even a martial king would not dare to receive it head-on. Xiao Chen was only an inferior-grade martial saint. Wanting to block this move when he landed was no different from a fool's dream. It was an impossible task. Who? The azure arrow was already less than a meter away from Xiao Chen's face. The strong wind from the arrow made Xiao Chen's hair somewhat messy. Xiao Chen raised the lunar shadow saber in his hand and shouted, explode. The purple line, which had disappeared earlier, suddenly reappeared. The instant Xiao Chen spoke, the purple line spread out like a screen of water. With a bang, the green arrow in front of his forehead exploded into stone fragments that filled the sky, disappearing into the air. At the end of the line, the Shi clan's fourth elder, who was in the air, had not expected Xiao Chen to have such a move. Pu Ci. The fourth elder vomited a mouthful of blood. The clothes on his chest were blasted into nothing by the electric light. A small hole appeared on his chest, which was covered in azure rock. Blood flowed out continuously. Although the wound was small, the electric light on it was unusually strong. It crackled non-stop, preventing the wound from healing. The purple electricity in the air moved about chaotically. Occasionally, some of the electricity would accidentally fall to the ground and explode a huge pit. Xiao Chen stomped on the ground. His body was not injured at all as he landed firmly. With a flip of his palm, the remnant electricity in the air all gathered in his palm. It formed a ball of blazing purple lightning fire. With a toss, the purple lightning fire quickly flew towards the Shi clan's fourth elder. The Shi clan's chest was injured, so he could not dodge in time. He could only toss aside the sword in his hand and draw a circle with his hands, condensing an azure whirlpool. Bang! The lightning fire and the whirlpool collided, giving off a loud sound. A strange energy came from the whirlpool, sucking in the horrifying lightning fire strand by strand. The Shi clan's fourth elder scattered the whirlpool in his hand and fell to the ground with a pale complexion. Blood continued to pour out of the wound on his chest. Damn it! I underestimated this brat's state of thunder. If I had expended a little more essence, I would have been able to block his earlier attack, the Sher clan's fourth elder said hatefully. Chapter 273. A cultivator with an innate bloodline martial spirit was indeed stronger than an ordinary cultivator. Xiaochen watched as the azure whirlpool swallowed up all the lightning-attributed fire. Xiaochen thought to himself. Although this was just a casual attack from the purple thunder true fire, it was very fast. Most people would have a hard time dodging it. The other party was able to block this attack with his full power despite being injured. This was enough to show that he was not simple. What are you all standing there for? Go and capture these two brats first, the Sher clan's first elder said angrily as he looked at the wound on his chest that could not be closed. The other Sher clan cultivators immediately dismounted and rushed towards Xiao Chen and Lu Suifeng with surging killing intent. Xiao Chen took a quick glance. There were more than 100 people surrounding them. There were 15 inferior grade martial saints and the rest were peak martial grand masters. More than half of them possessed the Sher clan's inherited martial spirit. With such a group of people, even if they were to fight a martial king, they would have a 50% chance of victory. Xiaochen grasped the saber hilt with his right hand and said to Lu Suifeng, I will cover the rear. You find an opportunity to leave first. When Lu Suifeng heard this, he was slightly stunned. He smiled bitterly and said, although I am not very strong, I know that you have no chance of victory against these people. Wang. Before Lu Suifeng could finish speaking, there was the sound of a saber humming in the sky above the street. At first, the sound was soft and inaudible. Then, it slowly grew louder until it was like thunder, deafening everyone. Lu Suifeng's face lit up in joy. He smiled and said, it's Yun Kursen. She is the eldest daughter of the Yun clan. The Yun clan's influence in Shihe city is no weaker than the Sher clan. We are completely fine now. Boom! The roaming dragon saber, a heaven-ranked spirit weapon, descended from the sky and stabbed into the ground. The street immediately shook. A sparkling and translucent leaf slowly floated down. The leaf disappeared. Yun Kursen, who was dressed in white, appeared. She drew the roaming dragon saber and pointed it at the Sher clan's people. The instant the roaming dragon saber left, the ground immediately stopped shaking. The Sher clan's fourth elder finally stopped bleeding. When he saw Yun Kursen suddenly arrive, he said loudly, Yun clan's girl, this has nothing to do with you. Quickly move aside. Yun Kursen's expression was calm. She said indifferently, Elder Sher, you have gone overboard. The Sher clan's fourth elder's face turned red. He knew that Yun Kursen was saying that he had violated the tacit understanding of the older generation and should not have made a move on the younger generation. If these words were spoken by an elder of the Yun family, the fourth elder of the Sher family would not have refuted them. He would only feel ashamed. However, when Yun Kursen said it, the Sher clan's fourth elder felt even angrier. Since when did a little girl like you have the right to lecture me? You're not qualified. Get out of the way, don't get in the way of our Sher family's business. Dong dong dong. The sound of horses galloping came from the deadlocked street. The Yun clan's cultivators had finally arrived. The leader, a middle-aged man, dismounted from his horse and slowly walked towards the fourth elder of the Sher family. As the middle-aged man walked, he had a majestic gait. A horrifying aura pressed down on the fourth elder of the Sher clan. Xiao Chen's spiritual sense acutely felt this aura. He was startled in his heart. This was the aura of a medial-grade martial king. Xiao Chen could not help but linger on the middle-aged man's face. The middle-aged man was not more than 40 years old. He had an outstanding aura and a grave and stern expression. A light burst out from his eyes as he said coldly, if my daughter is not qualified, then do I have the qualifications to lecture you? Before this overwhelming aura, the Sher clan's fourth elder found it difficult to even breathe. His pale face turned extremely unsightly. He had not expected the Yun clan's clan head, Yun Yuji, to personally rush over for this matter. Before the absolute strength of the other party, how could he dare to show any anger? He smiled embarrassedly and said, "Clan head Yun, our clan head personally instructed these two people to apologize to our Sure clan. I hope, scram." Yun Yuji was expressionless. Without waiting for him to finish, he scolded, "Scram before I get angry. If Sure Yang insists on apologizing, I can accompany him to the city lord's residence. We can see who is right and who is wrong, and who should apologize to whom." The Sure clan's fourth elder's face turned red. He had not expected the other party to not give him any face. He waved his hand and said, "Yun Yuji, just you wait and see." After he spoke, he immediately led the Sure clan's cultivators away. This time, the Sure clan had completely lost face. First, it was Sure Feng who was tossed into the street by Xiao Chen. Now, his fourth elder was scared off by Yun Yuji's words. It would be difficult for his reputation not to suffer. After Yun Yuji saw the other party leave, he ignored him. He turned around and walked towards Xiao Chen. He smiled and said, "You must be Yi Chen. I heard Kursen mention you. You are indeed a young hero. Come, the two of you will follow me to the Yun residence first. Once you are there, no one will dare to harass you." On the third floor of Liushang Pavilion, Mu Yanxue looked at Xiao Chen, who was with the Yun clan. She muttered, "Sure Feng probably does not know who he has offended." It looks like the Night Spirit Palace and the Sure clan will have to choose a new partner. Senior Sister Mu, just how strong is this person? Why do I feel like I can't even fight back against him? Our cultivation levels are clearly about the same. Why is that? A disciple from the Night Spirit Palace asked. Mu Yanxue muttered to herself for a while before saying, "Cultivation realm is not everything about a cultivator's combat prowess. True combat prowess includes the cultivator's cultivation realm, the martial techniques and movement techniques they learn. There is also the comprehension of the states in the martial techniques. Finally, there are some external equipment such as spirit weapons, battle armor, and secret treasures. All of these together form the true combat prowess of a cultivator. The martial techniques, cultivation techniques, and movement techniques that he learns are at least superior grade Earth-ranked secret manuals. Furthermore, he has a strong physical body and comprehension of states. In terms of combat prowess, even 10 of you would not be a match for him." That person was somewhat unconvinced as he said, "Based on what you said, doesn't that mean that even first senior brother is not a match for him?" Mu Yanxue smiled faintly and said, "Mu Qingshue's cultivation is higher than his. His martial techniques, cultivation techniques, and movement techniques are not weaker than his. The only thing he is inferior to is the strength of his physical body. The odds of victory are 50-50. Another person said, "Senior Sister Mu, aren't you overestimating him a little too much? From what I saw earlier, Senior Sister could not do anything about him. He is definitely not a match for first senior brother." Mu Yanxue said softly, 3 days later, Mu Qingxue will be participating in the auction as well. If I guessed correctly, this person will definitely be participating in the auction as well. We will know who is stronger and who is weaker when the time comes. Shihe City, in an independent courtyard of the Yun residence, Xiao Chen and Yun Kursen sat at a stone table. Yun Kursen gently placed the roaming dragon saber on the stone table. She looked at Xiao Chen and said, "Thank you for your roaming dragon saber. It helped me secure the position of the successor of the Yun clan. Spirit weapons could increase a cultivator's offensive prowess. However, the higher the cultivator's rank, the weaker the effect. A profound ranked spirit weapon could increase a martial grand master's offensive prowess by 20%. However, it was not even 10% for a martial saint. Only an earth-ranked spirit weapon could increase a martial saint's offensive prowess by 20%. As for an inferior grade heaven-ranked spirit weapon, it could increase a martial saint's offensive prowess by 50%. With Yun Kursen's strength, a regular superior-grade martial saint would not be a match for her after her offensive prowess was increased by 50%. Yun Kursen watched as Xiao Chen placed the roaming dragon saber back into the universe ring. She asked probingly, I discovered that the saber in your hand is only an inferior-grade earth-ranked spirit weapon. Why are you not using this heaven-ranked spirit weapon? The roaming dragon saber was indeed stronger than the lunar shadow saber. However, Xiao Chen had no intentions of using the roaming dragon saber. This was because the potential of the lunar shadow saber was much stronger than the roaming dragon saber. A future subdivine weapon versus a heaven-ranked spirit weapon. Xiao Chen knew how to choose. Furthermore, he already had a special feeling for the lunar shadow saber. It would be hard for him to part with it for the rest of his life. Xiao Chen smiled faintly, I'm used to it already. I obtained the roaming dragon saber by chance. In the end, it is not as smooth as the lunar shadow saber. When Yun Kursen heard this, she rejoiced in her heart. She said, if possible, I would like to buy this heaven-ranked spirit weapon. Do you have any intentions of making a move? Xiao Chen was slightly stunned. He did not understand why Yun Kursen wanted to buy the roaming dragon saber. Although there had not been a new heaven-ranked spirit weapon in the past few hundred years, there were still many heaven-ranked spirit weapons. However, the quality of a heaven-ranked spirit weapon was very good. If there were no accidents, it would not be a problem for it to last for 1,000 years. Hence, there were still many heaven-ranked spirit weapons left in the continent. After all, the roaming dragon saber was only an inferior-grade heaven-ranked spirit weapon. When one reached the martial king realm, it would be insufficient. With Yun Kursen's talent, it would not be a problem for her to become a martial king. At that time, it would not be worth it to purchase a heaven-ranked weapon. Xiao Chen asked doubtfully, are you sure you want to buy this heaven-grade weapon? Yun Kursen nodded seriously, and, you can state your price. I am now the successor of the Yun clan. The resources that I can use are much more than before. I will not let you suffer a loss. Yun Kursen's attitude was very firm. This made Xiao Chen hesitate. He could not use this roaming dragon saber, he could only use it as a backup weapon. If the price was reasonable, it would be fine to sell it. However, the situation was very strange. Xiao Chen found it hard to make a decision. Could it be that this roaming dragon saber had a secret that he did not know? When Yun Kursen saw that Xiao Chen was hesitating, she continued, Brother Yi, do you know what is the most attractive thing about this auction? Xiao Chen said, Lin Lang Pavilion's decennial auction. Don't they take out some valuable secret manuals, superior-grade battle armor, spirit weapons, and some natural treasures? Could it be that there is something else aside from these? Yun Kursen said calmly, these are just the basics. The highlight of this auction is the secret treasures. Xiao Chen said doubtfully, are you talking about the secret treasures? These seem to be present in every auction. However, there are only a few of them. Yun Kursen explained, it is a little different this time. The ancient desolate land's fiendish demon battlefield is open again. Someone found many complete secret treasures there. This time, there will be a secret treasure in every round of the auction. A complete secret treasure. Xiao Chen's heart skipped a beat as he entered deep thought. The method of manufacturing the secret treasures of the ancient era was long lost. Although there were many secret treasures passed down, most of them were not complete secret treasures. The formations in them were more or less missing. You're tuning into the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.